If you've ever been excited for MLB opening day again, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. We're going to run through all of the happenings from overnight and this morning, get you all set for the market here today. It is going to be, what do we call it? Terrific Thursday? Terrific Thursday. We'll see how the market holds up here today. Let's go ahead and just get this party started. Okay, welcome back and good morning, everybody. I hope that you had a wonderful evening last night, and hopefully your morning is going well here too. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. Let's go. Artisan Custom Homes, let's have a day of Benzingers. Yeah, I'm all for that. I'm all for that. Welcome back. Paul, great to see you. Good morning. Everyone looks like the Bears woke up. We'll see. We'll see how the market actually holds up today. Yesterday, I know it was a little bit rough. We're a little higher, kind of mixed here in the pre-market. In fact, S&P futures here about flat, down 0.06%. So relatively flat. We'll see how that shakes out here today. Good morning, Paul. Welcome back. Pete, welcome back. Good to see you again as well. Hellcat, good morning. Bobby, good morning. Sabin, good morning. Sun-Kissed Yogi, good morning. Allsorts, good morning. Couch Potato and Reaching Financial Freedom, good morning. Chuck, good morning. The impact of auto tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Chuck, I got a sneaking suspicion that we're going to have back and forth comments about that all day long here today. No matter where you go, I'm sure we'll cover that. Bernhard, good morning. It's great to see a day trader locked in on the West Coast early. Love it. Good morning. Welcome back. KGV, morning. STFU, morning. Harley, good morning. Torloff, good morning. Nikhil, good morning. Envious, good morning. Larry, Captain Cloudy, and Jonathan, good morning. Brandy checking in, good morning. Prudenica, good morning. Kevin and, I'm going to try. Abhijit, did I get it right? Good morning. Thanks for joining us here. Cam, howdy. Hopefully you're doing well. Good morning. All right. Jonathan, good morning. All right, let's go ahead and dive right in here. We're actually going to start with the morning update brought to you by Benzinga Pro. Get you all ready for everything that's going on. We're going to take a quick look here at all of the stuff set to go today, and then we'll dive in to some of the news stories that are going to be affecting the market here today. So again, just kind of a quick look here. Economic data, we are expecting the PPI, the M3 money supply, private loan data, interest rate decision. We're going to have some Fed speakers. So we got a whole bunch of economic data here today. Quick look at the pre-market. Looks a little bit mixed here, right? SPY and Dow are down, SPY and the Qs are down a little bit. Dow is barely hanging on to green right there. IWM about flat. Gold up about 1%. I don't think that surprises anybody. And Bitcoin holding in there at just about 86,500. We have no company events today. So I don't think there's going to be any like rogue headlines, I guess we should call them, coming out about certain products or certain companies. No company events that I'm aware of here today. We do have an IPO today. WFF is the ticker. WF Holdings Limited. Looks like it's going to price here at between $4 and $6. We'll see where that opens. That is today. This one's not on my list at all, although I do have a news story about an IPO that I believe is coming this year that we'll dive into here in a little bit. We do, of course, have earnings here this morning. There's going to be some earnings at night as well. These are not the biggest companies. Those are going to start here pretty soon. TMC Metals might be one to watch here. MDAI, Spectral AI, those also might be some prints to watch here tonight. We did have some new initiations by the analyst crew also. So Kanan, one that we've traded here quite a bit on this show off the relative volume scanner. Rosenblatt giving it an $8 price target here. Koya, another therapeutics company here, $18 price target from D. Boral. So a couple of these little stocks here. Mondelez got a neutral rating from Piper, a $59 price target. Constellation Brands got a buy from Needham, $215 price target. So some new initiations here on both small and big stocks. Upgrades, not a whole lot here today. Not a whole lot of upgrades. So an energy company here, a software company, not a whole lot. And as far as downgrades, AMD catching a downgrade here from Jefferies, 120 price target, moving to hold there. So that's a quick lay of the land of what's going on out there. That will cause impact on all of those stocks mentioned. Okay, now let's flip over to the chart. And oops, I didn't mean for this to be on AMD. Let's go ahead and take a look here at SPY, talk about those levels that we're at and what we actually saw here. Good morning, Judge, JJ, Sleep Coffee Trade. That's an awesome handle. Good morning, Jane. Good morning. Peter, good morning. Welcome back. Ed, good morning. And Abhijit, I got your name correct, or at least close enough for your liking. Excellent. I will do my best to remember that. Okay, the SPY here. We obviously the big thing that we've been talking about. We did pull back 10%. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, the market's in big trouble." No, actually, it isn't. We did bounce off that 10% level, and this is pretty much exactly what I wanted to see in terms of price action. I wanted to see this kind of get rejected here at the 200-day moving average. Now, what we did is we actually, the first candle, we tested it. We did technically close above. Okay, we technically did close above. The next day, we held above and closed above, but man, that definitely felt like a neutral day. And then yesterday, boy, oh boy, we just kind of sank here. We really gave up the 200-day. We did it on higher volume than the previous day that we were just kind of sitting there. Definitely felt a little bit shaky. And now here we are. We're currently beneath the 20-day moving average. So what I would hope going forward here is that we continue to roll over and we retest this 10% pullback level. Remember, we've been talking about a lot of stats leading up to this now that a 10% pullback is nothing out of the ordinary. It happens on average every year. And so if we really want to get a reset on some of this or on some of the prices here, I think we probably want to pull back more than 10%. The other thing about this is that, at least from my experience, and I've been doing this 10 plus years now, but there's that's, I guess, lower on the experience ladder compared to some others. But in my experience here, when we really kind of pull back fast, that generally sets us up for a V bottom, which is much easier to trade. Now, I'm not saying we're going to get that here for sure. I think the worst thing would be if we just kind of marched down for a year with bounces in there that really kind of sucked in buyers and basically serves as bull traps. I think that would be the harder scenario. I don't want to say the worst, but the harder scenario to trade. And I really think that, let's say we retest this 10% pullback level, break it, and then have one of those oh shit days where it's really, really scary out there and everything's getting sold and nothing can bounce and blah, blah, blah. Let's see if we can get a capitulatory day and see if that sets up a tradable bottom. My gut tells me I would assign a 65% chance that we come back in and test the 15% pullback level, and I would give about a 10% chance that we test the 20% pullback level. We'll see if we get that. I'm basically just assigning numbers to that, so we'll see here. Also, did carry the little position there on XPSX, so we are exposed here to the short side. If we continue to roll over here, should be able to trade SPXS for that. So this is kind of what we're looking at here on SPY. I'd love to get an idea from you folks. Where do you think we're going here today? Do you think that we're rolling over here today? Do you think that this might just kind of be a trap? Do you think it's going to be a bad day? Let me know. I definitely want to hear what you folks think. Now, I do want to go through some of the stories here because there are some interesting quotes. We just talked about the SPY and things that are going on, so I'm just going to go right to the quotes. As Trump introduced auto tariffs, this is what we're going to be talking about here for a little bit. In case you haven't heard, there were auto tariffs put on yesterday. Oh, and by the way, we'll make Trump and his administration has said, well, we don't really watch the market. We don't really watch the market. But yesterday they decided that they're going to schedule some type of messaging about tariffs right at 4 p.m. And so my response about them not watching the market is, LOL. Yes, you do. Because you would not schedule that right at the market close. Do it while the market is open. I mean, come on. Anyway, insights from analysts. As Trump introduced auto tariffs and the date for implementing reciprocal tariffs nears, Louis Navellier, the founder of CIO of Navellier and Associates, said, quote, expect volatility, buckle up. Well, that's good for us because we've already been in volatility. We're already expecting volatility. So there's no change here for us active traders that have been following the market. Can only chalk that up as a positive. He continues, we're a week away from Trump's Liberation Day, when he plans to implement reciprocal tariffs focusing on trading partners with significant trade imbalances with the U.S. It's a risk factor that investors have never faced and may explain why the VIX is starting to rise again after falling since the March 10th high. Scott Wren, senior global market strategist for Wells Fargo, believes that although tariffs come with anticipated economic costs, actions both by companies and consumers can substantially lessen their impact. That's so strange because whenever I turn on the TV, I hear that tariffs are the end of the world and it's the end of the U.S. and it's the worst possible thing for everybody. And Scott here bringing you a little bit more of a clear vision there. Quote, let's be clear. We expect tariffs to have some economic cost, Wren acknowledged, as he pointed out that price hikes implemented by some U.S. firms due to tariffs have often been lower than the tariff percentage itself, noting that strong corporate profitability, quote, some room to absorb a portion of the price increases, end quote. Steps toward mitigation are already being taken. When indicated, quote, keep in mind that some companies have been diversifying supply chains since the early days of the pandemic or even prior to that, something that we forget about quite a bit, or at least the folks talking forget about quite a bit. Consumer behaviors also factor in. Quote, consumers can also blunt some of the effect of the potential tariffs. For many products, there are substitution possibilities. Indeed, that is the case. So some more stuff there on the tariffs. We'll see how this all shakes out. I'm sure there's going to be emotional reactions to all of this, and it's going to be how we can actually play this in the long term. That's going to determine how well we do. Trump imposes 25% tariffs on auto imports. So let's dig into some of the details there. President Trump declared on Wednesday that the introduction of a 25% tariff on auto imports, the decision aims to stimulate domestic production, but could financially strain automakers dependent on international supply chains. The tariffs, poised to generate $100 billion annually, are set to be enforced starting on April 3rd. The administration anticipates that the increased costs will incentivize opening more factories within the U.S. We've actually already seen some of that happen already, thereby reducing dependence on global supply chains. I think in the long term, that is a net positive. However, American automakers who rely on components sourced globally might face heightened expenses and reduced sales. Quote, this will continue to spur growth, end quote, said Trump on his decision. There was another quote here that I wanted to go into. The administration argues that U.S. automakers have enough excess capacity to increase domestic production and bypass the tariffs. An official also pointed out that automakers have been aware of the potential tariffs since Trump's campaign. So, not totally new, but kind of. International leaders, including Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney and the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, have criticized the tariffs, no surprise there, suggesting a potential escalation into a global trade conflict. Trump also proposed a tax incentive for American-made vehicles, allowing buyers to deduct auto loan interest from their federal taxes. That could actually be significant. Carney said, quote, this is a very direct attack, end quote. The prime minister vowed to defend Canadian workers and companies. He said, we will defend our country. Okay. The announcement follows Trump's earlier hints that the tariffs might be less stringent than initially anticipated. Offering some relief to investors during a Newsmax interview, Trump suggested a more lenient approach, acknowledging minimal exceptions. Earlier, Trump had indicated while tariffs on automobiles were imminent, not all would be enforced by April 2nd. He mentioned potential exemptions for certain countries. Those specifics were not provided. Trump's tariffs on steel, aluminum, and auto imports hurt foreign-dependent automakers, but benefit companies with strong domestic production and supply chains. Tesla, Toyota, BYD, and GM are poised to gain, while automakers reliant on cross-border supply chains face higher costs. Used car dealers like AutoNation and CarMax may also benefit as car prices rise. So here are some ideas for you on how to actually trade this, some stocks to take a look at, and a pretty comprehensive breakdown of the news that we know so far. And the one thing that I can say for sure right now, there's definitely a lot of uncertainty. I think that's one of the reasons why you're seeing the VIX do what it does, as we've discussed quite a bit. But the one thing that I can say for certain is that there are going to be more headlines that drive this stuff back and forth. And again, for us that are active and paying attention to all of this stuff, that's going to be really paramount, right? We need to figure out a way, no matter what you think or what you think of the people involved, our goal is to find a way to play this where we can actually make money off of that volatility. That should be our goal. If we can't do it on long-term purchases, then we should find short-term opportunities to do that on. So we'll see how this all goes. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have? Oh, here's another one. This is kind of connected to it. It's not really the auto tariffs here. I do like this, though. TikTok tariffs. I think that's just fun to say. Trump says he may give China, quote, a little reduction in tariffs or something, end quote, to get a TikTok deal done. The clock is ticking for ByteDance. I see what that writer did there. Great job. Okay. President Trump could consider ordering tariff relief to China to help finalize a sale of TikTok as the clock ticks toward a government-imposed deadline for its parent company, ByteDance, to divest the app. Excuse me. Speaking to reporters on Wednesday, Trump said he was open to reducing tariffs on China as part of the negotiation to transfer TikTok ownership to a U.S. buyer. Quote, with respect to TikTok, and China is going to have to play a role in that, possibly in the form of an approval, maybe, and I think they'll do that. God, the way he talks makes me laugh. Trump said, quote, maybe I'll give them a little reduction in tariffs or something to get it done. So let me know. Do you think that we get any tariff concessions? Do you think we finally get some headway here on a ByteDance, or excuse me, a TikTok divestiture? Let me know. Would love to hear what you think about that. Okay, next story here has to do with NVIDIA. Let's talk about this. I know, NVIDIA is one of these stocks that we're definitely going to be watching for some time here. We actually just had a really great discussion about NVIDIA on Happy Hour last night. Seems that a lot of people are actually waiting for sub 100 prices before they end up buying it. So we'll see where NVIDIA goes. NVIDIA, I should take a look here real quick, get you an exact price instead of estimating. NVIDIA here, 111.83. This is down here in the pre-market. Prominent short seller Jim Chanos has raised questions about NVIDIA amid reports that the company's potential acquisition of Lepton AI, a server rental startup. Chanos wrote on social media platform X that attempting to buy resellers could signal deeper financial complications. Interesting. Trying to buy out your resellers is usually a huge red flag, he noted, suggesting the move might be a strategic attempt to manage inventory costs or avoid receivables provisioning. Semiconductor giant is reportedly neared a deal to acquire Lepton AI for several $100 million, according to the information. Founded 2 years ago, Lepton AI raised $11 million in the seed round in May of 2023 from investors CRV and Fusion Fund. So Jim Chanos here saying, hey, things might not be, oops, didn't mean to click on that. What did it open? Oh my God. Jim Chanos saying that, hey, this might be a red flag. And we've seen some other red flags when it comes to NVIDIA. We've talked about the botched launch of their 50 series or their 50 series graphics cards. We've talked about some of the Blackwell chips overheating. Well, there's been some controversy here. It looks like Jim Chanos is flagging another one. So it'll be interesting to see how NVIDIA responds to that. Now, let's take a look at the NVIDIA chart while we're at it and see where we're at. Okay, our handy dandy yellow parallel channel is still holding up and still providing some targets or what we can expect next. All right, the bottom end of the channel here, I've got this at about, let's call it 99, 98 by the time it gets down here. We'll see if that ends up happening, but you can see that really since November of last year, we've continued to make a series of lower lows here. And now we are actually under this trend line that we used as support, now very, very clearly acting as resistance when we do try and bounce. So we actually kind of tested this twice in recent times here and fell through the middle of that parallel channel. We'll see if we can get down towards the end or the bottom range of this parallel channel here on NVIDIA. Again, NVIDIA down 1.7% here in the pre-market. And actually, let's check the Qs while we were at it. I know we took a look at the Qs earlier. Qs down here by about 0.2%. And also worth noting that the Qs here bounced or found resistance at the 200-day, and yesterday actually gave up the 20-day. So it sure looks to me that the Qs really want to continue trading lower here. I would say the next spot to really kind of pay attention to is going to be this 467 spot. We'll see if we end up getting down there, how long it takes for us to get down there. So NVIDIA, more red flags out there. Chart definitely pointing to lower. Are any of you folks trading NVIDIA? Do you have short trades on NVIDIA, or are you more in the camp that you're just going to kind of wait for it to make more sense for a long? Part of the discussion that we had yesterday in as far as, well, if you really think NVIDIA is going down, it should be extremely easy to short, right? The answer is really no, because the company is, we're talking about shorting it and having the price move down, but the company itself is great, and they do make great products, and they're obviously part of this huge AI craze. It's not really going away. Even if some of it was overblown and exaggerated, it's certainly not going away. And it also is headline driven. The CEO loves to pump. I say pump and not really mean that. He loves to promote his own stock. He's a good CEO. So he loves to promote his own stock, and he likes to make headlines. And that can actually make shorting real difficult. So I think it's really kind of paramount that we pay attention to what the chart tells us, because honestly, so far, the chart has really been holding up here. Especially this downward channel. So we'll see when this changes. We have a couple of things to monitor here for when we actually do get a change in trend. For example, if we break out of the top of this down channel and we get multiple closes above that, and better still, we back test that channel, you could at that point say, well, the trend down here in NVIDIA might be over. It might be time to trade this to the long side. I don't think we're there yet, and I think we got more time to go, or more room to the downside, I should say, before we actually end up getting there. So let me know if you have NVIDIA trade plans. Special case here says NVIDIA averaging down. I think I know what you mean by that. And at the risk of either putting words in your mouth, which I have no intention of doing, or misreading you, it sounds to me like you have a long-term view on NVIDIA. And at this point, your strategy is to just, as NVIDIA comes in with the rest of the market, as long as nothing else changes, maybe just kind of dollar cost average, get your average a little bit lower on NVIDIA. And in the future, you should see some pretty healthy gains from that. I understand that. And for again, I don't really think NVIDIA is going anywhere. I do think that this company is going to be fine. The one caveat that I would say on NVIDIA, the one thing that really kind of has me waiting, is that if you look at the price history, or if you look at the history of this company, in fact, we had a stat yesterday from one of the gentlemen in Happy Hour, and I can't remember it exactly. I should have copied it down. That's my bad. But there's been a number of times where NVIDIA has declined like 60% from its highs. Now, the astute observer will understand that every time that it's done that, it's ended up going higher. Really, the question is going to be your time horizon. And that's one of the reasons why, we talk about this stuff so often here. If you have a long-term plan, then even if NVIDIA, even if you buy here and NVIDIA trades down to, let's say, $60, and then takes a number of years to trade back up, if you have a long-term view, those are basically just paper losses. And as Special K is saying here, one of the ways that you can handle that is just kind of dollar cost average and work that position. Don't overdo it with how much you have, but just kind of work that position. Again, I don't think NVIDIA is going anywhere. So I think that as long as your time horizon is sufficient, that strategy can work. Now, for those of you that want to trade a little bit shorter time frames, your entry is going to be much more paramount. And if this thing continues to fall or continues to break some key levels, you might not see that entry for some time. So this also kind of goes back to really the smartest thing that you can do is have a plan for your trade ahead of the trade. If you want to invest and you have a long-term time horizon, great. If you have a short-term time horizon and then all of a sudden the trade goes against you, I don't know that altering your time horizon is really the right thing. Plan the trade the plan. We'll see where NVIDIA goes. Again, my big thing here is like my thought, like if I was cheerleading this, I would say, yeah, bring this back in. 500-day moving average here is at 84.80. Bring this thing into 85. Reset some of the valuation here, scare some weak hands out of it. Problem with NVIDIA right now is that everybody that wants to own this does. This thing has been an absolute monster for a number of years now. It's at the center of one of the biggest themes that we've seen in recent decades. It is highly, highly owned. So if we can end up getting that to come back in, find some support that could actually set up for a pretty nice trade. We'll see if we end up getting that. Special K says, exactly, buying more shares on sale. Okay, good. Again, big thing there is I wanted to make sure that I was not misinterpreting you or saying something that you did not mean to say. But sounds like that makes a lot of sense to me, Special K. It does. Makes a lot of sense to me. Okay, let me catch up here on the chat because you guys were popping off here, and I'm sure there's a lot going on. Okay, Guten Morgen. Okay, I got a good morning in German. How about that? Taking some Tesla. Okay, we'll talk about that. Yeah, baby, volatility. Again, all of us active traders, we should want volatility. ATL Russ, checking it. I didn't say good morning to you yet. Good morning, boss. Great to have you back here. White Chocolate Mocha, maybe you're watching the wrong channel. Boy, that was a while ago when I was talking about all the talking heads, huh? I do watch CNBC for my job, but generally speaking, if it's not sports, I'm probably watching a podcast or something like that. They put so much, James saying they put so much fear into the market unnecessarily. If tariffs are so bad, why do other countries love them so much? James, you're asking the tough questions, man. You're asking the tough questions that people like to run away from. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. A sleep coffee trade. So should we see a rally before tariffs? So that's tough to say. I'm not even sure that we're going to see a rally here today. And again, my own personal bias, which is definitely playing into my answers here, I would really like this to continue to roll over. I would really like this to really test some of these other levels. In fact, we've got a gap fill here on the SPY. I should have mentioned this. This gap fills down here at 564. So can we get a rally? I don't know. That the April 2nd is the day. That's going to be Wednesday of next week. So we've got today, tomorrow, Monday, and Tuesday. That would be the window for you to get your rally prior to that. I think a lot of this is actually going to be dependent on data too. My gut, if I had to pick, no, I think we actually roll over towards the 10% level. But I've been wrong plenty of times, and I suspect I'm going to be wrong again at some point. So let's watch that, though. Let's watch that. And do me a favor. Let me know if you take a trade in either direction. I'd like to know how you thought about that and how you ended up planning that trade. Alzort said tariffs aren't the actual problem. It's the uncertainty. You can't change supply chains overnight. A lot of truth to that. Okay. And let's see. I'm still keeping protective puts. Would you mind taking a look at Tesla trade before your guest? Sleep coffee trade. Your good news here. There is actually no guest here today. We're going to have plenty of time to take a look at that. Let me actually add Tesla to the list. I think someone else might have met. I don't think I have a Tesla story here this morning. No, so I will add Tesla to the list. We did just take a look at NVIDIA. Lion is mentioning Hood. I'll add that to the list here. Let's see. What else did I miss on that? What else did I miss? I don't think so. I think those are all of the tickers that you folks wanted to see, at least so far. Broadcom. Syed wants to take a look at AVGO, so I'll add Broadcom to the list. There we go. Charles, I'm short GM and XPEV. So, Charles, looks like you're trading around some of these tariff headlines. That makes a lot of sense to me. Well done. Thank you, Bernhard. Yes, you were on Happy Hour yesterday. So the stats, NVIDIA has had 11 drops of 55 to 90% in its history. 11 times the stock has traded down more than 55%. Up to 90%. Now, do I think NVIDIA is going to trade down 90% from where it's at? No, I don't. But I would not be shocked if we saw a huge move down. And like Special K was saying earlier, quality companies on discount, not a bad idea for a long trade, especially if you have a long time horizon. Okay, you guys are doing this. Okay, and that, by the way, that time frame was over the past 20 years. Bernhard, dude. Appreciate you. Sometimes I can't even remember what I ate yesterday, let alone remembering all these different stats. Okay. Supply has been brought up in preparation. Could we also take a look at Meta and Apple? Yes, adding those to the list right now. Basically, we're taking a look at the Mag 7, some of the big names there. Makes a lot of sense. Okay, I buy dips for now. I think we might rally till next week, says Captain Cloudy. Okay. Cool. There you go. That's exactly what makes a market. Okay, what time is it? 8:30. Oh, dude, we are cooking here. We are cooking on the time. And again, no guest. We're going to have 13 probably in about 15 minutes. I did want to run through a couple of other things here real quick. Walmart. Let's start here with Walmart. We'll actually start with the chart. And then I wanted to go to the news here. I'll tell you what, this Walmart, this was one of the more frustrating trades of 2025. I was watching this really kind of trade up near the end of the year. I did not want to short Walmart around the Christmas season. I just didn't think that was, oh, you know what? We've got data. Thank you, producer, for reminding me. I'm sorry. I rolled right over that. I should have stopped. Let's go ahead and take a look at that data. U.S. Initial jobless claims, 224,000 versus the 225,000 estimate. The prior read was 225,000. U.S. GDP quarter over quarter for Q4, 2.4 versus the 2.3% estimate. That's slightly hot there. U.S. PCE prices for Q4, 2.4% versus the 2.4% estimate. The prior read was 1.5. U.S. core PCE prices, 2.6 versus the 2.7 estimate, a little bit light. Prior read there was 2.2. And U.S. retail inventories, ex autos, plus 0.1 or 0.1%. Now, S&P futures here actually trading up off of that print there. S&P futures here at flat right now. Dow futures in the green now. Dow futures up by about 0.17%, and the NASDAQ here down about 0.1. So we're still hovering around flat, but the initial response to that print was a move higher, actually seeing some volume trading here in NVIDIA as well. So there you go. Appreciate that, producer. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you for throwing it in the chat. That's exactly what we needed to do. Really, really good. Now, let me get back to the chart there. See, there's no other big news that happened here. Is there? RGLS, did one of you folks mention this one? Looks like someone threw the, yep, Svarcy Marcy threw this one in the chat here. Regal, well, I'm sure we'll take a look at this during the movers, but Regalis Therapeutic shares are trading higher after the company announced top-line results from its phase 1B MAD study of some drug I'm not going to try to pronounce, or some disease I'm not going to try to pronounce, for autosomal dominant, and then they throw another multi thing, kidney disease, basically. So, okay, we're going to check in on that when we get to all of the different movers there. Shout out, though, to Benzinga Pro. If you have Pro and you don't use the WIM tool as a really quick way of figuring out what's going on, what are you even doing? Let me help you set that up. Really, really helpful little feature there to kind of stay on top of what's going on. But anyway, I digress. Let's go back to the chart here itself. Anyway, with Walmart, so I was watching this last year. I was like, man, Walmart is on a huge run. It's extremely extended from some of its moving averages. It normally do this. This actually might make a pretty good short, but not around the Christmas season. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So then I tried to do it this year. Thought I was getting some signals, including a tweezer top and all types of different formations. Got stopped out of my short trade a few times. Just did not work. And then all of a sudden here, we got a nice little red candle. We got these two kind of green candles that look bullish with tails beneath it. Then we had an earnings print. Bang, this thing just got absolutely gapped down here, started giving up some of the moving averages, and now it's moved lower. The big thing that I'm waiting for here on Walmart, what happens at this 200-day? Clearly, it's trying to slow down here. It's trying to trade sideways. It's trying to form some type of support area here, and we do have the 200-day kind of rising up to that price. So we'll see if this produces some type of support for it. Here's the news on Walmart. Walmart suffers a $22 billion valuation drop on a single day amid declining consumer confidence. So we've talked a lot about the consumer maybe tightening up. Who's going to be impacted by that? Who's a beneficiary from that? Here you go with Walmart. Walmart has witnessed a massive $22 billion loss in market cap following the decline of consumer confidence data. Walmart's stock price fell by 3.1% at market close on Tuesday, leading to a sharp decline in its market value of nearly $680 billion. The retail giant suffered the largest valuation drop on Tuesday, surpassing NVIDIA, $17 billion market cap loss on the same day. Now, Walmart CEO Doug McMillon had previously noted in February that customers were displaying stressed behaviors and reducing their spending. However, on tariffs, McMillon seemed unfazed and stated, quote, "Tariffs are something that we've managed for many years, and we'll just continue to manage that," end quote. So again, here, this seems to be a theme that we're seeing more and more when we hear from the folks that are actually doing the work as opposed to the people on TV. Bill Adams, chief economist for Comerica Bank, attributed the failing consumer confidence to layoff headlines, a falling stock market, and tariff fears. Consumer confidence in the U.S. has been in a downward trend, with the Consumer Confidence Index falling to its lowest level since late 2022. This decline is attributed to fears of inflation, stock market volatility, and tariff-driven price hikes. I think there was one more thing in here. Furthermore, Walmart's operations in China have been under pressure, which could potentially lead to higher prices for U.S. consumers, as reported by CNN Business. On this, a Walmart spokesperson told CNN, quote, "Our conversations with suppliers are all aimed at making our purpose a reality for millions of customers. And we will continue to work closely with them to find the best way forward during these uncertain times." Shout out to all of you that were talking about the uncertainty. That clearly is what's still going on here. So, what do you think on Walmart? Are any of you trading Walmart? I know that this is kind of a slow mover. I know with our group here, especially in the morning, we're often looking for some of the quicker plays, more volatile plays. Walmart doesn't necessarily fit into that. Let me know what you're thinking here on Walmart. If we do test this 200-day, do we break it? Do we maybe peak below it and then start our rally? Let me know. Let me know what you think here on Walmart. Good morning, Wist. It's great to see you. DC, appreciate this. There was unusual volume to the short side on Walmart. You know, I've been watching some of the option flow. I did not catch that, but I don't doubt it, especially given the move here. I wonder if we see more. I wonder if we see more traders positioning for a potential next leg lower if we do end up breaking this 200-day. DC, that's good stuff. Keep me posted if you see anything else here on Walmart. Keep the group posted, I should say. Okay, now the next thing that I wanted to talk about is an IPO that I think we all actually might care about. I know we took a look at the WFF IPO or mentioned that earlier here in the morning update, but I don't think anybody cares about that. Discord, however, oh yeah, video gamers, stock traders, rejoice. Discord prepares for a potential IPO with Goldman Sachs. So what's going on here? Discord is working with Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan Chase on a potential initial public offering, which could take place as soon as this year. I anticipated it being this year last year when we were talking about Discord, Databricks, Cerebras AI, a couple of other AI plays. We all expected those this year. Discord at the top of that list. The timing of the potential IPO remains uncertain, so we don't know yet when exactly this is going to happen, but we're getting closer. And the company may adjust its plans to bring in additional advisors. Discord had previously considered a direct listing instead of a traditional IPO, per Bloomberg. Founded in 2015, Discord started as a communication tool for gamers, but has since expanded its reach. The platform has become a hub for various online communities, including programmers, educators, hobbyist groups who use server collaboration and social interaction. This is also making waves in the trading community, as many members have Discord rooms. Story Trading from yesterday have their own Discord room. And the feature set here and the usability of Discord is really what makes it ideal for this. Being able to have voice channels where anyone can just get on a mic, it's crystal clear, especially if your equipment is even half good. It's a chat program, direct message program, very, very lightweight, works across multiple devices. I mean, just everything that you would want for any type of like online community, with some features rolled into it that make it pretty helpful. And like I said, I know this started with gamers. Gamers were at the leading edge of this because this has morphed into a number. There's companies have their own Discords. Collectible markets like cards have their own Discords. Like I had mentioned, traders have their own Discord. I mean, there's a ton of stuff. This is really, really proliferating. I'm unsurprised to see this go public. And I think that this actually could be a pretty hot IPO. I think that this would probably be one of those IPOs that's oversubscribed by people that are interested. I think that this is one of those IPOs that is going to pop and open much higher than its anticipated price. And I also would imagine, very much like Reddit, that you're going to have communities trading this back and forth. Now, with Reddit, because I didn't use it, I didn't really understand it. And I kind of felt like that was going to sink, that was going to trade down. And I straight up was dead wrong on that. Obviously, Reddit went gangbusters. Discord, I think, might see the same thing. I feel a little bit better about this because I actually use Discord. We'll see what kind of price action it gives. Let me know out there. Are you interested in Discord? Cam here saying Discord is really nice. Online therapy is on Discord. There you go. Didn't even know about that, but that's good to know. They go public, and that opens the door to ESG and DEI and government censorship. All the things Discord users hate. Interesting other side of the coin argument there, STFU. Wouldn't you say that the same thing is true about Reddit? That stock performed pretty well. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I personally don't know what Discord's going to do when it becomes public. I am interested in trading that, especially for the short term. But again, I use the product. I like the product. I've been waiting for this one. I am kind of excited about this one. I want to see what happens here. I won't try to become a part of the IPO. I mean, I won't try to get shares from the IPO, but I will definitely be interested in following this and trading this post IPO. Day Trader says, I use Discord, but I've never paid them for anything. So that's me too. That's my experience too. I think one of my buddies who I played Escape from Tarkov with started their own Discord server, and I think I might have done a Nitro boost for like a month or something like that. I think it was like $5 or $10 or something. It was a nominal amount. Didn't really do anything. But to your point, Day Trader, I did not go back to the well. I did not re-up that subscription. This is a product that I use basically for free. And so I think, going forward here, how are they going to make their money? How can we forecast how much money they're going to make? A lot of that stuff makes a lot of sense. David Lynn here saying, how does Discord make money? Advertising? This was my thought on Reddit. I was like, how does this actually work? I would imagine ads are going to at least be a part of this. Again, Discord does have some additional features that you can buy for your server, like Nitro, which gives you better latency, maybe an increased feature set. And then Cam here also mentioning that Discord has subscriptions. So I think there's going to be more revenue streams here for Discord than Reddit. But again, I was wrong on Reddit. There's just no way around it. I was wrong on that one. We'll see if I'm right or wrong on Discord. Wait, you play Tarkov? You have nerves of steel. I've played Tarkov for a little bit. I will say this is an unpopular opinion amongst people online that say it publicly, but the user base agrees with me. PvE much better than PvP, especially for a game like Tarkov where people try to inflict maximum pain on you. But yes, that is one of my favorite games of all time. In some cases, I'm a kid that just refuses to grow up. Anyway, as far as Discord goes, I am excited for this IPO. I'm going to stay on top of this. I'd like to know if any of you folks are interested in trading this. We will definitely focus on this. Market Sniper says, the first IPO I've been interested in months. That's kind of how I feel too. Graph saying that there are tons of users. I think that there are probably more users than I even think, honestly, because they're just like Cam was just saying here, they're online therapy Discords. I mean, there's probably Discords for everything. And as a result, there's just more users. Very, very easy to get started, easy to use, in my opinion. There we go. Okay. That is Discord. One more thing here, and kind of want to do a victory lap about this for a couple of reasons. We'll talk about it here real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and get into the tickers. I've already got some to take a look at. We're expecting 13 here pretty soon. We are cooking here on a Thursday. Cybersecurity stocks to outperform. It's the one line item that no company in the world is cutting. And this is courtesy of a friend of Benzinga, downtown Josh Brown, who does a wonderful job on CNBC. Really nice guy, really funny guy on top of that. Ritz-Holt Wealth Management, Josh Brown, expects cybersecurity stocks to act defensively in current market conditions and outperform throughout the remainder of the year. If you folks recall, I said at the beginning of the year and close to the end of last year that my theme for 2025 is going to be cybersecurity. We talked about a bunch of different stocks here. Shout out to Amanda, who set me straight on CrowdStrike, which I had a recency bias opinion of, given the outage that we saw last year. CrowdStrike, PanW, plenty of good companies here. And then this example here, pretty awesome. So the cybersecurity sector has been outperforming the broader tech index so far in 2025. We've absolutely seen that. I've already made some successful trades on PanW, and we look to go back to the well on that one several times. Actually did well with PanW last year as well. Let me get here. Brown believes the outperformance is due to the idea that no one can risk lowering its cybersecurity spend because of the potential consequences. This, to me, is the no-brainer. When we've talked about cybersecurity, we've realized that more and more companies need it. The cyber threats are not going away. In fact, they're growing every single day. They seem to be growing here. The big hang-up with cybersecurity stocks is how volatile it can be. You can have the greatest product in the world one day, and then the next day there could be a new hacker patch that completely defeats everything. That will get the stock price pummeled, especially if there's some type of widespread outage like we saw with CrowdStrike last year. Now, it did recover from that, and I think good quality companies that have a proven track record will be able to recover from that. But please understand that when we have some of these events, you might see some dramatic moves in some of these stocks. Now, the other side of that, if you are prepared, if you are familiar with these companies, and if you're able to kind of see past the storm, if you will, some of these moves down might produce very good buying opportunities. Again, very much like CrowdStrike, which we've seen. So victory lap here. I told you cybersecurity was going to be a huge theme here. Downtown Josh Brown agrees with me, and we should see more opportunities in this sector here. Quote, this is the one line item. Geez, this is the one line item that no company in the world is cutting. I don't give a how bad the recession gets. This is out of business risk. He's basically telling you here, look, even if the market really kind of gets bad, companies aren't going to cut this. Like, this is a necessity. Brown said that on Tuesday on an episode of The Compounds. What are your thoughts? Economists' predictions over whether there will be a recession in 2025 vary, with some estimates putting the chance at 30 to 35%. Here, this is the recent piece of news that kind of ties this all together. Brown noted that the 23andMe Holdings company recently filed for bankruptcy after suffering a data hack. The company said it has experienced weak demand for its products after a cyber threat negatively impacted its reputation. 23andMe shares are down nearly 70% so far this week. So kind of going back to, this is a potential like business killer. Indeed, and this is why this might be a recession-proof sector if we do end up moving into a recession, and if we do really kind of get a little bit weaker here. So keep that under your hat as well. We talked here about 23andMe really not having a business model post sending out the initial kits for everyone to give up your DNA data. I don't know why you'd want to do that. Nonetheless, they didn't really have a business plan for that. Whatever they did have planned clearly was not enough to offset the loss of trust from one of these cybersecurity attacks and data breaches. And this, again, is going to be something else that we need to focus on. We've gotten news about data breaches a lot. Some of them are not choices that we can make. Like, for example, the Equifax data breach, the credit agency data breach from years ago. You don't have a choice whether or not you have data with Equifax. They just have it. However, with companies like this, you chose whether or not to give your data to 23andMe. And now you're seeing what's happening to that company. So a lot of stuff, a lot of tentacles to kind of go through here. As a result, cybersecurity stocks are trading at a premium right now and are actually acting defensively in portfolios, Brown explained. He expects that trend to remain in place throughout the rest of this year, as cybersecurity companies may lose share to one another, but overall, the demand for cybersecurity is not going to shrink. This is exactly why this was one of my themes here. Well, they might compete with one another. That's fine. Overall, this line item not going anywhere, not going to go away. Cyber threats are only going to increase. Okay. Brown noted that software stocks have outperformed the broader tech sector over the past 6 months, and that cybersecurity stocks have outperformed software, creating a hierarchy in technology. Quote, these stocks in a sea of red tech, they really stand out. And I think they can continue to be the case throughout the year, Brown said, end quote. So, okay, my takeaway from that is if we get some broad-based sell-off here, we get some huge move down, we get some scary stuff that really causes people to sell, and that selling increases and all of that stuff, cybersecurity stocks might be and probably are a sector that we should look at for adding on weakness. Adding on weakness. Okay. This is the best trading channel. Ryan always keeps it real. White chocolate mocha, I literally strive to do that. I strive. First of all, I love the compliment. I strive to keep it real. I'm a firm believer that for a long time, I've been a firm believer that anybody can do this. Anybody can trade. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. It doesn't matter where you come from or what you believe in. You can trade. And the thing that makes it, or the thing that helps people the most is, in fact, keeping it real. And I try to do that. This is Benzinga's ethos. We're trying to raise the entire pool for everyone. We're trying to raise the playing field for the retail investor because, frankly, the big institutional investors, they've had an advantage for too long. We're trying to raise that. And it is my own personal belief that keeping it real, as you said, is the way to do that. You might not agree with me all the time, and that is totally fine. We're all going to become better from taking a varying or looking at varying positions. I appreciate that compliment. It means a lot. White chocolate mocha. Okay. Let's see. What else am I missing here? That was the business model at 13 in the chat there. That was the business model. Collect your DNA regarding 23andMe. Indeed. Pretty sure they sold data on DNA to be weaponized. Shouldn't be surprised. James says, if they start cloning me, we're all doomed. Oh, we have a new contender for quote of the morning, James. Welcome. All right. Speak of the devil, let's go ahead and bring 13 on and see how he's doing. 13, good morning. How are you doing here today, boss?
Oh, I'm doing fine, man. It's a little dark. Should I go turn on the light?
That's up to you. I mean, you kind of look like you're on the cover of like a goth metal album.
All right. How's that?
Metal album. We're going to turn some light on in this piece. Okay. Makes a lot of sense. Where do you want to start here? I do have some bigger stocks that folks want to take a look at, but obviously we still have the movers as well.
Well, first things first. Hello, everybody. Jonathan, thank you for that information. I can see why they wanted to do a 1 million share repurchase, even though that starts in April. We'll get to that. Let's get going with the movers here.
Well, I didn't even know what the hell you were just referencing, but that's okay because you do. Let's start with those movers. Yes, folks, Tesla, Hood, Broadcom, Meta, and Apple will all be covered. Don't worry. Let's knock these movers out. Okay. Did you want to start with GTech?
Sure.
Okay. Greenland Technologies Holding Corporation. No, this has nothing to do, I don't think, with the whole Greenland stuff that's going on. But nonetheless, ticker GTEC here. Greenland Technology shares are trading higher after the company reported year-over-year increase in fiscal year 12 or full year 24 EPS results. Yep. So you can see we actually popped here in the after hours. We've done a really good job of holding that here in the pre-market. We've actually had more volume in the pre-market today than we did after the print. That, to me, is a good sign, at least on the surface. We do have a higher low here in the pre-market. We'll see if we're able to take that out, unless that first one was also from the pre-market, and it looks like it was. So, okay, so we have a lower high here in the pre-market, but we're still doing a really good job holding at VWAP here. Quick look around the horn. Short interest, negligible, 0.14% with 1 day to cover. Float, right in our butter zone, 7.18 million. 13, what do you got, boss?
Yeah, so the big thing with this company is that their EPS year over year grew from negative 1.2, $1.20 to positive $1.03. So big jump in their EPS year over year. That's the whole reason why it's running. Taking a look a little further look into this, 7 million shares in the float. Like you said, the short interest isn't really there. Cash seems to be okay. The revenue obviously down year over year, but they improved their margins. The thing that bothered me about this is that when I was trying to figure out where this company was based out of, we got one of those British Virgin Islands address, or
Yikes.
and they have offices in New Jersey. So this is a company that mostly does business in China. You just look at everybody that's on the board of directors that's managing the company. This is a Chinese company.
Okay.
So that being said, it does seem like it's got some decent revenue, and it looks like it's a real company. But as far as the way it's trading this morning, kind of just hovering around the VWAP. Ever since we moved up yesterday, this kind of gone sideways with the intermittent pops here and there. 273 was the high that we made in the after hours. This morning, we only made a high of 264, and we're kind of just hanging out at VWAP. So if we lose the 65 EMA on this, I think we could continue to see some more downside, maybe go on or two.
Yeah, and I thought the same thing, 13, but I think technically that this opening big candle that took us to 273 actually was the opening of the pre-market. It looks on the chart like it was in the after hours. I'm not sure that even matters.
You're right.
But that's just kind of what it looks like. But your larger point, well made there. We'll see if we end up getting above that. Also here, STFU saying GTech looks like it's made its big move for the day and will probably close around 260 to 270 mark.
Maybe if it even gets back up to that high. I agree with that, though. I think the big move is already in. Maybe the bigger move comes later. Okay.
Good stuff there. All right. We're going to keep cranking on here. Next is going to be, I'm just going to call it drama. I know some people don't love this. I'm sorry about it. I'm just being honest with you. I don't think I'm going to be able to control myself. I'm likely going to call this drama. The ticker is DRMA, and the name of the company is Dermata Therapeutics. I will do my best to be as clear as possible. Dermata shares are trading higher after the company announced top-line results from its phase 3 trial of a drug with a bunch of letters starting with an X, and which achieved its primary endpoints. Okay, so this thing popped over 260. It's really retraced 50% of the move. This is normal behavior for what we see out of some of these stocks. We're actually right beneath the VWAP here by about 9 cents. Quick look around the horn, 5.35% of the float shorted with 1.3 days to cover, and a float here, 3.53 million, right in that zone that we want to see. On average, the stock trades under 500,000 shares, but today we're already over 13.5 million shares. So clearly this is bringing the eyeballs here. 13, what do you got here? Ticker DRMA.
Phase 3 is typically the end of the road for a lot of these biotechs. They once they finish with phase 3, the next step is usually going into advanced discussions or bringing the drug to market in some capacity, usually through partnerships or if on their own they would need cash. But this phase 3 result is part of their STAR 1 trial. They have a STAR 2 trial that begins in the second half of this year. So there's some future headlines for you for DRMA. But also, they are still looking to advance discussions with potential partners as a result of this phase 3 STAR 1 trial. So this really does get the ball rolling for getting this brought to market. But they still have a STAR 2 trial that they are going to be undergoing with this. They have about a quarter of cash, so there is a possibility that they could raise cash here as early as today. They are going to need to raise capital in order to undergo that STAR 2 trial. Mm-hmm. But we should continue to see more headlines out of this with not only their Zingari, which is what the name of the drug was, but some headlines regarding potential deals with partnerships with companies that are going to help bring this to market.
Okay, good stuff there. STFU saying a giant seller wall at 210. Now, I actually wouldn't be surprised if they kind of refreshed some of those sales there. We'll see there. DRMA, good stuff.
Let's get back above VWAP, and then we can see this trade better. But right now, it's trading underneath it.
Yep. All right. All right. Next here, Soleno Therapeutics shares are trading higher after the company announced it secured an FDA approval for its first commercial drug in a rare genetic disorder. This is a huge move here, and this is not one of these smaller, junkier stocks. This is a huge company here. Stock moved from like $49 to $65. Just a huge 16.5-point move here, up 34% on this. Real quick, look around the horn here. 17.67% of the float shorted here with 7 days to cover. And now you have this catalyst and this move. Look out, folks. We might have a short squeeze on our hands. This is something that we want to take a look at here today. Float 28.2 million here. And the stock has coverage, and the coverage is pretty universally good on SLNO as well. So 13, you got anything on this one? I mean, this to me sounds like we might have something on our hands here.
It's, I didn't go into this one as much. It was kind of further down the list for me. The FDA approval is great. The float 28.2 million. Not too heavy, but a little bit thicker than we'd like to see. But still, it's tradable. Company has more than a year's worth of cash when you consider not just their cash and equivalents, but their short-term investments that are going to likely be liquid enough to convert to cash. The short interest was the really interesting part for me. We've seen a lot of short squeezing happen recently. So I would expect that this one is also going to be, they just got a price target raised too to 123, which is 2x from here. That's by Cantor Fitzgerald. So this is for their Vicat drug. And I'm sorry I didn't really deep dive into this. But this news came just after the close yesterday, and we are still moving today. When a move comes in the just after the close, and then it has like all evening and the morning to digest it, some of that move doesn't necessarily carry over into the next regular session. Usually, what you want to see is these announcements come out the day of in the morning, so that we can trade the volatility. So I would expect there to be a lot less volatility than there would have been if we started trading this yesterday. It seems like a lot of the big move may have already been in, but I won't discount that there could still be some decent price action today where we can capture some gains, especially if Cantor Fitzgerald thinks that this is worth $123.
Yeah. Okay. Really good stuff there with all that. STFU here saying SLNO is sporadic in its volume. So to your point there about, the impulse move versus what the move's going to look like afterwards, the whole 9 yards. We'll see if we get a big volume day here out of that. Make sure I'm not missing anything here. Nope. Okay. Next here is going to be TDTH. This is Trident Digital Tech. TDTH. Trident Digital Tech shares are trading higher after the company announced a $1 million share repurchase program. I have one of these little guys here doing a share repurchase. We did pop almost as high as 240. We've come back in. We actually lost the VWAP here on this one. Short interest on this, 0.84% with 1.65 days to cover and 21.86 million shares in the float. Did you cover this one?
A little bit.
On TDTH?
Yeah, so this one also with a little bit of a heavier float, 21 million shares. It's moving on the announcement of the 1 million share repurchase program. Though I'm a little bit, scratching my head on where that 1 million is going to come from. It didn't look like they had any cash on their balance sheet. Don't have a real read on their income either. I was saying thank you to Jonathan Cooper earlier because he had mentioned that they had a lockup period that ended on March 10th. So he was thinking it could be a liquidity play, which is interesting too, because if that lockup ends, now you have the share repurchase program. I'm kind of wondering to myself, okay, well, when the share purchase program starts on April 27th, are those some of those shareholders within the company going to have the company buy those shares back from them? This is what I'm wondering. So just kind of a lot of question marks here with me. Where's this million coming from? Seems like they're going to have to do a capital raise. It's not something they haven't done before. So I would be a little bit careful with this one because I do not know where that million's coming from because it does not show up on their balance sheet.
Okay. Good stuff there. Insider lockup date, courtesy of Benzinga Pro here, March 9th. So it looks like March 10th is the first day that was effective or when those insiders could have done something there. Okay. Really good stuff there. TDTH. We'll see where we go here today. Not as interesting as some of the other movers, but don't want to rule it out too early here.
Those are the four I really looked at. But we can look at other stuff too.
Yeah, there are a couple here that I'll go through real quick. This next one here, Milestone Pharmaceuticals. I actually didn't even look at this one earlier. Did we have news on this? No news here. Stocks up 11%. Quick look at the short interest here. 1.66% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover, and a float here of 52 million. So a little bit heavier here for this little guy. Does have some coverage. Coverage looks pretty universally positive. Let's see what the analysts say on this. March 17th. H.C. Wainwright gave it a $25 price target. Looks like they reiterated that price target 5 times. So there you go. Rodman and Renshaw. That sounds like a law firm. They have a price target there of 9, a little bit more manageable. Piper Sandler had one from last March here at 5. So some interesting analyst coverage here on this one. This popping here on no news. Volume looks a little shaky. We'll see what else we had. Do you have anything on that? I probably not. If you didn't cover this one, there's no news on this.
I traded this a long time ago. I think back in 2020 or 2021. Remember Miss Izzy?
Oh yeah,
she brought this up, and this was one of her trades. I can't even remember what the drug was. It might have been the Cardamis drug that they talk a lot about here recently. But I it's been so long I don't remember. And I don't know what this company's done since then, because after that trade, I had kind of just forgot all about it.
Okay, real quickly here, I will shout out people all the time when deserved. Miss Izzy, she's awesome. She a Benzinga Pro member. She is a whiz with charts. She's got some incredible vision and technical analysis skills. One of the good people in our industry.
I saw you talking about it earlier, but Discord. But she has her own Discord that I was, learning from and trading with all her group for a period of time. She was really good at education, so she was very helpful. And that's one of the good things that can come out of Discord, is that you do have a lot of people that like to do that, like to help teach people new things, also do business. But then, of course, you have other people like Atlas that. Not Line Atlas, but the Atlas group.
I was going to say, you better clarify that one before we have trouble here.
Right.
I'm going to try and fight you through the screen. Good stuff there. Sorry. I'm always going to shout out people that I feel are helpful to the overall community, whether they're affiliated with BZ or not. I personally have learned from her. I think she's excellent. So good mention. Good mention there on that. All right, next one here, RGLS. This is Regalis Therapeutics. Ticker RGLS. Regalis Therapeutics shares are trading higher after the company announced top-line results from its phase 1B MAD study of Faraburnson for kidney disease. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the rest of that stuff there. This did pop as high as $2, has almost completely retraced that move. We are back down here. We closed yesterday around 129. We're currently at 144. So the big impulse move pretty much soaked up. Short interest here, 3.9% of the float shorted with 5 days to cover, although I think that days to cover probably won't matter. That's based on the 400,000 shares that the thing trades on average. Already today, we're at 6.3 million. We've already kind of round tripped there. So just something to factor in there. Again, float here, 52.2 million. It's a little bit thicker than some of the smaller ones that we trade. But this is why this one's moving here today. You can see big action there, big pullback. We'll see where it goes. Did you have anything on this one that you wanted to mention?
I didn't cover this, but I'm just looking at their website. It seems like that Faraburson drug that the one you were talking about, that's the drug that they have that's the furthest along in their clinical trials in their pipeline. They have a couple of, it looks like they have one other drug. I'm not sure if it's the same one or not, but they're going through lead optimization right now. So they're a ways away. Phase 1, obviously that's the earliest one of the 3-phase cycle in clinical trials. So expect more headlines to come out of, what is this, RGLS?
RGLS, yep. Regalis. Okay, I ignored the chat for too long there, and I'm sorry about that. Time to go through some stuff here. Lion, good morning. Jay, good morning. Beach Bum Trading, locked in. Folks, if you're looking for some more info on the weekends, check out Beach Bum Trading. He's always got it locked in. Huge supporter of us. We appreciate that. Good morning, Beach Bum. Mike, welcome back. Market Sniper, it's good to see you. I think I already said hello, but just in case I didn't, good morning. Born, great to see you here as always, man. Miss you, brother. Who else did I miss here? Glenn, good morning. Well, you guys are popping off. Jonathan already did. Whis, good morning. So I'm just making sure I say hello to everybody. Captain Obvious AF, good morning. Hans, good morning.
For all the missed pharmaceuticals updates, guys. Like we appreciate all this information.
Yeah, always. I'm a huge proponent of sharing information with the group. Okay, two more things that I wanted to really quickly mention here. VVPR, because we talked about this here this week. It popped yesterday. It's getting poppy here in the pre-market again. Did we have any fresh news? No, news was just here from Wednesday. Thank you, producer. It surged on the $120 million takeover proposal from the UAE-based Energy Holdings. Not confirmed, so still moving around here, plus 8% again here today. Again, just a quick reminder here, 3.3% of the float shorted with 4.9 million shares in the float. 13, I'm assuming you don't have anything else on this.
Nothing new. I mean, it's the same. Nothing new. Same situation.
And then another one here that kind of fits into the same thing, TNON, T-N-O-N. Obviously, it had that huge move up, bled almost everything back. But we're getting perky here. Again, news from Tuesday, nothing new here, T-N-O-N. All right. Let's do, yeah. What were you say?
Big names?
Yes, because I actually have several on the list here. Let me clean up some of my windows here real quick. Boom, boom, boom. And then go back to this and then the chart tool. And we're going to start with Tesla. TSLA. There is some news on Tesla that I didn't really cover yet. First of all, remember Elon Musk told the employees, don't sell your shares, stick in it. We've talked about some other things that could really kind of be net positives for Tesla. We got news overnight here that Tesla is going to be showing the Optimus robot on Capitol Hill. Let me see if I can actually find that here.
When is that supposed to happen?
That's what I'm trying to find. I wanted to have this queued up. I can't find it because now that I'm looking at it and trying to talk at the same time, I'm of course struggling mightily to do that. Where did I find that? Oh my God. I wanted to get more information on that. Producer, where are you? Help me, my man. Help me. All right. Can't do the 6 things at once, I'm afraid. But Tesla, I'll see if I can find that here. I'll try and get some more information on that. But that's basically what's going on with Tesla. They are going to kind of show off some of those robots. I don't know if that's really going to make it move or not. I've kind of joked around about my fear of robots. So
it should have already happened.
What? Was it yesterday?
Yeah, it was. I think it was yesterday.
Here we go. Tesla wants to woo lawmakers with its Optimus robot. This was March 26th. So yes, I believe this was yesterday. Yeah. And now I can't read the rest of the article because of my ad blocker. Oh my God. This totally my fault for not having the story queued up. I normally do a better job of that. I'm sorry. Producer went ahead and threw that tip rank story in the chat there for any of you to take a look at. But in any case, I just wanted to mention that had happened. Sorry, I got the time wrong there. But more importantly, what's Tesla doing on the chart? Let me actually hide this drawing here. It's a little bit easier for you folks to see. We had a pretty significant move off the bottom on Tesla. And we really kind of ran into some resistance here at the 200-day. That value, 286.21. We've come off that a little bit. We really haven't broken all the way back down. We do have the 20-day moving average there at 257.15. That might provide some support. But what I'd really be looking at what I would really be looking for here is a potential move higher and a close, and then several closes above that 200-day. We'll see if we end up getting that here on Tesla. Did you have anything chart-wise that you wanted to take a look at on Tesla?
We're kind of hanging around that 273.60 area. That's just the level I've got marked off because it was support and resistance. It was a resistance on the way up in October, November last year. It's been support on the way down. Got support on it at the end of February until we lost it. Was resistance again until we blew through it. So I'm just kind of watching to see what happens around this 273 area. We're trading between the 20 and 200-day SMAs. So just waiting to see what direction we end up going. We've got to choose which SMA we want to close over. If we close underneath the 20, then likely going lower. If we move over the 200, we can test that 300 level that you were looking for yesterday.
Okay. Thank you, STFU. This was the quote that I was trying to get from memory that I just couldn't. Tesla will be participating in a robotics symposium this week on Capitol Hill. We'll have the Optimus humanoid robot on display. This is what I was trying to get out earlier. Thank you, STFU, for the quote. Appreciate it. Okay, good stuff there on Tesla. This RSI, by the way, kind of in no man's land. I could see Tesla kind of going anywhere higher here in the pre-market. We'll see where we end up. Here today.
Folks were mentioning DRMA was trying to get going here. It's trying to push into the 230 area. A little bit of a resistance there, but if it does manage to push into that, we're going to be in the area where we popped into earlier this morning. That ran us up to 269.
Okay. I'm going to really quickly take a detour here because I want to highlight this from Jay. So here's car. This is Avis Budget Rental Car. This thing has been absolutely smoked recently. Jay here with some boots on the ground intel for our group. Good morning, Jay. Car has been killed. I will say when I was traveling last week, that's why we didn't see you. When I was traveling last week, there was a huge line for them at the airport. Okay, so it looks like car rental, despite the stock being killed, car rental demand's still there. Maybe this is a potential play. Maybe this is actually kind of put in a bottom here around $50.
What's the options flow look like?
54. You know what? That's a good question. I can't recall even seeing this. Let me just take a quick peek at the option chain and see if anything stands out here.
7% of the float is shorted.
37%, you said?
Mm-hmm.
How many days to cover?
That is going to be 3.2.
Okay, option chains here pretty light, and the open interest, especially for the May contract, seems to favor the put side.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like traders are positioned here on the put side. You go out to June, there seems to be more interest in the call side. And in August, it's kind of a wash. In September, some upside bets in there, but I don't know if I would make it. And then November is kind of light. So the option chain not showing a whole lot. This will be an interesting one to watch. Now that Jay's brought it up here, I will keep an eye on the unusual option flow and see if we see anything here for car. But nonetheless, maybe this is kind of put in a bottom near oversold territory. Demand still seems to be there as there's long lines.
Are you seeing anything on the options that are looking at $50 strikes?
Let's see, $50 strikes. There's just minimal put interest in the May contract there. The April contract had pretty much nothing in there. No, I'm not seeing it very much in the 50 put.
50 just looks like a very interesting level of where we could see support, but that's still $14 away. Nope,
don't really see much there. We'll see. Okay. I want to get to Hood here for Lion. I want to read this comment here from Sideshow. I hope I don't regret it afterwards. Wink, wink. Just kidding. At a conference yesterday, a parent talking about a possible FDA approval for a drug to help her son today. I looked up the company, grabbed some, and woke up today to an approval and a 35% increase. The stock was SLNO. Wow. Interesting. So you ended up just buying that from something else, and then you're being rewarded here today. I tell you what, a 35% pop in the morning. You wake up to that, you're about to have a good day. Sideshow, you're about to have a good day. Bardzo dobrze, actually. Some of the best trades I found just listening to strangers who speak passionately about something. So this is the comment that I really wanted to highlight, because this is something that I always have my ears tuned to the street for. I love the idea of story trading. I know the group that follows us on Wednesday, that's their name. I'm referring to the actual, like the company or a drug or a product has a story behind it. Those are some of my favorite things. The whole drone trade is basically that. Portillo's is basically that. Some of my other trades like GoGo have been about that. PanW. About that. So I love this. I love that you're being rewarded on pretty short order on that Sideshow. That's really good stuff. Okay. As an aside, Rustam, I'm just going to really quickly answer this because we'll cover this again. What's going on with NEO? Offering. That's what's going on with NEO. They are having an offering. Stocks getting pounded here, down 7.5%. Neo shares trading lower after the company reported or announced a proposed offering of new shares.
I'll just answer this real quick, and I'm just going to give the short answer. Alexander's asking 13, why do you use 65 EMA? The short answer is because it works. Okay. I use the EMAs that I use are the 9, 15, 65, and 200. I don't want to get into a long explanation about
if it slows up, let's do that. I'm always a fan for lessons. If we get a lull in the session, do it. 13, do it.
We'll get to that later on then.
Okay, but I love the answer there. Why do you use it? Because it works.
It's a short answer. It works. It's used by a lot of different traders. It's one that does have a lot of price interaction. It's a long enough term to where it will still smooth out. I'm getting into the explanation, so I'm not going to do that. But the short answer is because it works.
Okay. 65 EMA with a 5-minute chart says STFU. That's one of my favorites. You'll often see that shared on my screen, by the way. Okay. Hood, the next stock that we wanted to take a look at. My view on this company has changed like the wind. When they were going through the whole thing around COVID, where they were the volatility and they weren't letting people close positions that they had. Oh my God. I was like, this company's going to fail. This company's going to fail. They have not failed. They've continued to expand. They're trying to become an investing, gambling, crypto, sports, stock, hub all in one. A lot of interesting stuff coming here out of Hood. Now, looking at the chart here, we had a huge move higher. That was definitely too far, too fast. We've since kind of retraced that move. We came back down to this supply zone. We actually overshot this a little bit. Did not quite hit that 200-day, and now we're kind of making a move up. We did find some resistance here at the 50. My gut tells me that we probably trade in this fairly tight range. Let's call it 48.5 to 43, that $5 range, $5.50 range, and then eventually go higher. Now, I say that just because I think they're going to continue to expand their products. I don't think people are necessarily going to leave or interact with these products less, even if we do get a sell-off, because they've added or they look to be adding more things that have to do with gambling. I would imagine that even if we go into kind of a tough portion or tough part of the year market-wise, I think that it might still get users and all of that. So I do kind of like this here. No position. But I'd be looking for a breakout here of the 50. Do you have anything on Hood that you want to take a look at? Lion, I don't know why you brought this. I don't know if you gave any other context for it. I'm sorry about that. But
I think, they did, fail in a sense, because when you go from being a $50 stock to trading under $10, that's, never a good sign. And I think, you were right about them not allowing folks to sell their GME or their whatever meme stock they were trying to get rid of at the time. I think that's, the big reason why you saw that stock go under $10. But of course, wasn't this a SPAC as well?
I think so.
Yeah. And part of the de-SPACing process if it was. But aside from that, let's just look at the current and future. We're talking about the rejection at the 50-day SMA. We also have support coming in at the 20-day SMA. I think when you were talking about a range just a second ago, I think that's going to be my range. It's going to be those two SMAs. Whichever one we start closing over first, that's probably the direction we're going to go.
Okay. By the way, Jay Carr here, new highs in the pre-market on Avis budget rental as we speak. Lion here regarding Hood, you'll say, I will add to my Hood if it dips more today. So Lion taking a long-term approach here on the long side. Maybe we come down and hold one of those support levels, and that entry could actually be pretty good. Rooston, love this. Hood yesterday offered me 3 new products, and you can order some cash to your door like an Uber delivery. And your own investment advisor. Steve, you were mentioning here, I watched the live stream event yesterday with Robinhood Gold. They're now going to offer advisors to monitor and invest for you. Advisory and investing services. Yeah, this stock's going higher. This stock's going higher. I don't know what to tell you. Stock's going higher here. Okay. Good stuff there on Hood. Broadcom, ticker AVGO. I feel like it's actually been a little bit since we took a look at Broadcom. And today makes a really good day for us to take a look at that. Why? Because we gave up the 200 yesterday.
Ooh.
So the first time we came down to the 200, we actually bounced off of it. Not a huge bounce, but not terrible. We really found some resistance at a combination of the 100 and the 20, which we couldn't get over. We've rolled back over, retested the 200, broken, closed below. And now we have day two. Let's see where we go here today. Couple of other notes. First of all, we are basically at the top end of this supply area that was from the summer of 2024 for the rest of the year, the last 6 months of last year. We're pretty much at the top end of the range there. You'll notice that we're 5 points above the volume point of control, which is is also the largest volume shelf here. This might also provide some support here for Broadcom. So one of the things that I would want to watch, if we do continue to move down here, we are down 1% in the pre-market here today. If we come down, do we find any support at this 172 area? Number of things here on the chart that point to that being a potential support area. If we're able to hold that, do we then recapture the 200-day, which is the blue line here? I think if it does, maybe this trades higher. Inevitably, though, this is going to trade with the market. This is going to trade with tech. So if that really struggles and can't get out of its own way, this one we kind of just wait on the way down. 13, you got anything here on AVGO?
I like Broadcom. I do think it's going to end up doing well later on, but this break of trend is a little concerning to me. And you can draw your own trend line if you want. If you start with the August 5th low from the end carry trade and draw it up through the lows thereafter, you'll see that we've just this week broken down through that trend line. Yeah, you can draw it that way. That's fine too. But we just either way you draw it, it's gonna show that we've broken that this uptrend that we've been in since October.
I actually already had it on there.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
You know, the reason I did that is because it's actually like pretty much just mirroring the 200-day.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, wild.
Okay. Writing up to 200, and now we lost that as well. So I mean, I don't think it's going to recapture it anytime soon. If it does, it'd be great. I'd change my tune on where I think this is going. But yeah, 172 would be the next level down that I'd be watching for support. And if we don't get that, I like somewhere underneath 160. There's going to be multiple levels under 160 that look good to me, especially 140. That looks like a pretty strong level, but we could also go as low as 120. That's another level that looks interesting. So there are several levels that look interesting here for support, but the earliest one is going to be that 172 that you mentioned, and hopefully we'll get some support there and maybe even turn this thing around, because we don't want this to go down very low. I think this is oversold, by the way.
Okay. That 500-day moving average could kind of move up to that 140 spot, or that 145 spot you were talking about if we continue to move down. So, okay, good stuff there. There's your Broadcom. Next one here is going to be Meta, ticker META. Meta bounced off of the 200-day. Again, found some resistance there at the 100-day, has kind of rolled back over. If we take a look here, if we go back to, let's say, middle of last year, okay, we are pretty much right at that volume point of control. I've got that at 592.70 here. The current price is about 611. Excuse me, it's 603 because we're actually down almost $8 here in the pre-market. Was there any news here on Meta that I might be missing?
Let's see. Yes, their Asia Pacific chief is stepping down.
Okay.
And then there's also, it might be the Trump willing to lower tariffs on China to do TikTok deal. TikTok's going to be a competitor with Meta.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess we'd want to see how the stock reacts if that deal is actually finalized. Again, there seems to be some uncertainty here, which we've highlighted quite a bit on.
I think that's a horrible bargaining chip, but we'll see what happens.
Yep, I feel you. This to my eye here sure looks like we're going to roll over, try that 593, maybe even a 575 again. Meta, the only Mag 7 stock that was not above, or excuse me, that was not below its 200-day. Maybe it finally gives that up. We'll see.
The price action over just this week, since Monday, that looks very similar to some of the price action we've been getting in the SPY. This looks like a bit of a bearish topping out here, just from over the past 5 or 6 trading days. I would think this comes down to the 200 again, the 200-day SMA. I just don't know if we'd lose it or not. I would think that we will, but until we get a clear indication that we're going to be losing the 200-day SMA, I'm just going to say for now we're going to retest it again.
Okay. Good stuff there. Care Solution saying Discord is going public. Multiple question mark. Yes, it is. Through that article in the chat, we actually talked about that earlier here. We don't know yet when the IPO day is, but yes, yes, they are. Okay.
Real quick, Jonathan Cooper was mentioning Wolf. We talked about this one in Happy Hour yesterday because they had earnings. And one thing we didn't talk about was how it had a high short interest, and it could squeeze some more today. Oh, I didn't realize he went away. So yeah, that's one of the things that I was looking at here with Wolf yesterday is that it did have some good earnings. I'll just read you off what that is. So they missed their EPS and their sales. So not good earnings, but I think it was the guide. I'm sorry, the guide that they had mentioned that was good. There was something good about this. No, I'm sorry. This is what. Okay, so let me just back up here because I was trying to recall exactly what was happening with this one. So they didn't have the greatest earnings. They had misses and an unfavorable guide, which should have taken the price lower. But because the expectation and this was lower, I guess, and this it was going to expect some downside, and there was a high short interest, that resulted in a squeeze. So I think that's what we're actually getting here. So sorry about the jumbling around of whether or not they had a beat on earnings or not. They actually missed. They didn't have good guidance, but I think because the expectation was so low, and we're open, the expectation was so low that they ended up getting short close. DRMA is ripping here at the open.
Okay, we didn't get to Apple, but we will. That much I promise you. I know we ran out of time right there at the end, but we will get to Apple here. Apple's actually first print is higher. Looks like it's up off the lows. Here is your DRMA chart.
And they just pulled it. So folks that were mentioning where those resistance areas were, they were right on. G-Tech, this is trying to get back above VWAP right now. TDTH, that's been trying to get back above its VWAP. All pre-market still isn't able to do it out of the open here, but let's just be patient. We might get some better movement later. SLNO kind of going back and forth. CISO that just attempted to hit its VWAP and get over it. Not yet though for that one.
Okay, good stuff. And by the way, I did have dinner with my former colleague who works in the gem and diamond industry. So if you would like an update on the diamond market or the colored stone market, I'd be happy to provide that as he discussed. Also, going forward, I'm actually going to get access to the publication so I can stay on top of it myself like I used to do. And you folks should be able to ask me those questions if you'd like. So we can do that as somebody wants. G-Tech here moving lower. Let's take a look across the board. DRMA actually tried to move higher here, popped and came back in, but it is holding above its VWAP, so that's actually a pretty good sign. SLNO looks like it's trying to take out the pre-market highs here. Robert mentioning that NVIDIA is actually climbing here. That's interesting because NVIDIA was looking weak here in the pre-market. It is bouncing right after the open. This actually kind of similar to Apple. I know was a chart that we wanted to take a look at. Apple really just kind of moved down with the market yesterday. I wouldn't really take too much from this. Looks like it's trying to firm up here today.
NVIDIA 113 is a resistance level. SLNO is starting to get going here some more.
Seeing car calls getting bought. So Jay, you had mentioned car here, budget, Avis budget, them being packed. I know it was anecdotal, but I'll tell you what, market seems to be responding to that. Also seeing some call sweeps here. So you were asking about unusual option activity. I didn't know. Well, we're seeing some aggressive buying here in car today. Looks like the 68 calls that expire tomorrow. So those look like short-term option trades there.
Yep. Great mention, guys, on VVPR. That got a pop out of the gate here. Still hasn't hit the pre-market high of 505, but it has come very close. Looks like 5 is the resistance level for the moment.
Tesla here popping out of the gate. This was red earlier in the pre-market, went green, held green, popping out of the open here. Also seeing some pretty aggressive call flow into Tesla right here. Looks like those are also short-term, ones that expire tomorrow.
Woof.
More repeat call flow again expiring tomorrow. Tesla.
Wolf squeezing. This is the broader market doing right now.
It's pulling. I'm glad you asked. Broader market is pulling. SPY rolling over to yesterday's after-hour lows. We're right there. See if we can end up cracking this and moving lower here. This is awesome because
the way you said awesome.
I know, and then I paused for dramatic effect. Right, that was the whole goal there. So this is actually great because come on, for heaven's sakes. So stupid. Just the stupidest little bug. I swear to God. Okay, here's your SPY chart. The reason that I said that this is awesome is because we had talked about this kind of rolling over from the two. Sorry, my producer is he obviously started a comedy club because he's been making me laugh all morning here today. SPY really found resistance at the 200-day. We were saying earlier that I think that this is probably going to roll back over towards that 10% pullback level. I then even said I would love like a peak below this, maybe even going to the 15%. We talked about wanting a capitulatory move. We'll see if we end up getting that first move here on the SPY, pretty much exactly as we had thought, moving down here by just about 0.4%. Market crash. This is awesome. That is not the way I meant that.
Put that on a shirt.
FYI.
Put that on a shirt. Market crash. This is awesome.
Oh, man. Sometimes you just say things and then 2 seconds after you're like, damn, that came out not the way I intended.
CISO is starting to GO. This just captured its VWAP. Penny stock, it's starting to move. Chat had brought this one up.
Which one?
CISO.
Oh, I think Crow's in this one, actually.
Yeah, this one's...
Here you go.
This one just moved over its VWAP, coming back down to back test it. We'll see if it gets going here. 70, almost 73 cents is where the high in the pre-market was.
Lion here trying to rib me, trying to give me a gut shot here. Ryan is excited for us losing money with the market going lower. No, I'm not Tim Walls, Lion. That's not how this goes. We've actually been talking about the market really kind of rolling over here for a number of days. And we're kind of getting that. Frankly, if anything, you should be making money from that. Pete says, kind of tired celebrating the constant downturns. This, again, is why I think that the best possible thing would be for a real quick downturn and have that be the end of it. Because, Pete, you are not alone in that. I know we just kind of made a joke here about cheering the market going down, but in reality, what we're looking for is better times ahead. The sooner that happens, the better it is for everyone, boss.
Yeah, I was getting kind of tired of the market just endlessly ripping, every dip getting bought. I was getting tired of that and not having a meaningful correction so that we can see better highs and not get so frothy.
Yeah.
But that's me. All right, so SLNO.
CISO kept going here. So let me bring up SINO 13.
Or SLNO. There you go.
I combined two tickers there and screwed that up.
This one trying to hit the pre-market. I'm sorry, not pre-market. This was after hours, but the after hours high of 72.
Jane saying, I remember 2008 and I did not have fun. Were you prepared? Is my follow-up question. Because if the answer to that is no, then what we're going to do is we're going to prepare you for this one so that it doesn't hurt as much. That's the goal.
VVPR is going to halt.
Okay, sorry, I was locked in watching the SPY here. VVPR is halted to the downside on that pull. Halted to the downside. Here we go. Mind Moo. Just love the name. Love the YouTube name. A big downturn early in the year is great for a big upturn by the end of the year, in my opinion. And I would agree with your opinion. This is something that we have been discussing a lot recently. This is what I'm hoping for. So we'll see. I had stats from Ryan Dietrich that showed you after an election year, you often get some of that bad news early in the spring, the following year, and then it leads to green arrows at the end of the year. Fingers crossed.
Yes, sir. Woof, just been really squeezing. This has been a great one this morning. Just straight up out of the gate.
Where's Lynn and Randy? Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out on Woof, folks? Was it Lynn and Randy? Maybe.
I don't know, but SPY coming down to a previous all-time high of 565 and 16 cents.
Jay, stand up, baby. Take a bow. What a mention here on CAR, and you know, when we first started talking about it, it was right in here, 64. We are 10 points higher than when Jay alerted us about his anecdotal story about lines being long and packed throughout his travels. Jay, I know it's early here, but hot damn, that looks like a good call, buddy. Was not in this, still am not in this. By the way, really quickly here, this is worth mentioning. I don't know if anyone's on this, but this is WETH, ticker WETH. This is WeTouch. We had talked about this one being a kind of a junky Chinese name that has an absolute ton of cash to make touch screens. We're expecting this to move higher here. There was a gigantic bid earlier, and actually I think it's still on the tape here. In the pre-market, it was getting walked up, it was moving around. This stock has actually traded up now about just 7.5% here out of the open. I'm seeing more buying volume here on WETH, so I'm already long this. We've been talking about this for a while. This has been a happy hour special. We're kind of waiting for this one to go, seeing some action here. Not yet, but encouraging action here so far today.
Oh, yeah.
DLTR is higher here. This was after the earnings that it had yesterday. Had earnings in the morning. We had that truest price target. And one of the things I wanted to see is what happened here today. Piper Sandler sticks to their hold. Telsey Advisory Group maintains market perform, raises the price target to 82. Dollar Tree here, ticker DLTR plus 2.2%. We're going to check in on Dollar General. Got an open trade here on Dollar General. Giddy up, baby. Plus 0.8, looking to go higher here. That trade has, I'm glad we talked about that one here. That has really worked. You guys are mentioning HTZ. I know we were talking a little bit there about budget. Look at HTZ plus 20%. Car rentals, maybe on the back of the tariff news. Are you having a terrific Thursday like I am, 13?
So is this just like we're gonna start renting cars instead of buying them now? Is that what the?
I mean, I'm not. Look, guys, I just FYI, sometimes timing is everything. Sometimes timing is everything. I had just recently upgraded my car, had no idea any of this stuff was coming. 2 weeks later, all of a sudden, I am thanking my lucky stars. So forgive me if I'm not as woe is me about the tariff news here.
MLGO is up 4%, hitting some of the pre-market highs, going beyond them in some cases. Still not higher than the highs from yesterday. That's not going to be until about 14.
Okay. Alexander here mentioning that FCX is falling apart. FCX down 4% here today. Gosh, I'm old enough to remember when I was told yesterday that I sold too early. LOL. Real quick here, FCX falling apart since the 50 call buying talk. Let's reset that a little bit, Alex, because that's not entirely true. When we first started talking about those 50 call buys, the contracts were swept up at about 39 cents. There was actually a repeat buy a couple of days later that ended up taking that contract. I think it had like a 63-cent bid at its high. So those were almost a double. There was plenty of time for that trade in here for this to materialize. Now, to your point here, this is absolutely getting shelled here today, down 4.43%. And this was after a day yesterday where it moved down here. So again, part of the reason we trade and we sell partial and we sell some of these positions, lock those gains in. Don't let them go away.
I'm curious to see what happens between 38 and 39. I think we'll see some support in there. You also have the 50 and 20-day SMAs in that same within that same range. So I would expect that because those were resistance, they were acting as resistance on the way down. I think on the way up here they could be support. So that's going to be one of the things I'm watching for with FCX is some bottoming around in between 38 and 39.
Real quick here, I'm taking a look at those FCX calls since we're having the discussion here. There is still 132,000 and a half contracts being held open at that strike and expiry. Still. So even after these 2 negative days, the repeat buys to the upside, those contracts are still being held. Worth noting that there is 3,400 contracts traded today. Maybe they closed, but that's what's going on here.
I think we're just getting a little bit of a discount. I still think we could see some more upside. TDTH, this one halted to the downside. Just dual wielding knives, actually.
Dual wielding. I didn't have that on my bingo card.
Well, I mean, you look at the chart. You got this one knife shortly out of the gate, like 15 minutes into the regular session, and then this one that right after that just caused the stock to halt. Those are dual wielding knives.
Okay, I look. I like it. I like it.
Or akimbo pistols, but those aren't really guns. But anyway,
23andMe, after declaring bankruptcy, ripping here, plus 65%. Ticker ME.
Sometimes
it's unreal.
Sometimes they do that. You know, when they announce bankruptcy, they'll just go on this rip because they're so hated. They just get all kinds of shorts into them, and they just pull the stock down, and squeezers will come in and try to squeeze those shorts out.
Whoa, sorry to interrupt, but repeat Tesla calls here. Ton of short-term Tesla calls. Tesla's taking another leg higher here. I'll tell you what, the unusual options have shown short-term bullish flow on Tesla since we opened. Literally since we opened. That is probably the ticker that I have seen the most action on through the option market here. Yeah, Market Sniper saying retail loves bankruptcies. It's true. I don't know why, but it's true. They absolutely do. Yeah, that ticker's ME. Sorry, C-Spot. I know I'm a little bit late to that. Ticker's ME on 33andMe.
You got liquidity because people are trying to get out of there. So you're going to have overselling, and you'll get these dip buyers that come in and trade this, and you're going to get trading with these when you have companies announce volatile stuff like that.
Izzy here mentioning a Ferrari. That's ticker RACE, RACE. Ferrari getting pounded down 2.3%. It was down a lot yesterday on the news of those tariffs. No, Izzy, the new car I picked up was not a Ferrari. I wish, but no. So I will still, if I do go that route at some point, I will probably still have to deal with the tariff on a car that costs more than most houses. Not what I ended up getting here. This actually, though, has been a really good performing stock. And I'm curious if there's tariff negotiations or a little bit of waffling or back and forth at all. I'm almost wondering if RACE might actually make a pretty decent trade to the upside if this reverses at all. Look at the big pull that we've had. 511 down. This is a 100+ point pull in very, very short order this year. So that's something to keep in mind if things kind of turn around here at all. Izzy also mentioning Uber here, we're getting it back, right, Izzy? And I do agree with your overall thought here. Uber could be used more if people are driving less, or maybe pushing a new car purchase down the road because of some of this. Maybe Uber then might be a beneficiary of that.
Oh, GTech, good mention there, STFU. That one all the way down to the 200 EMA, under 2, just like I was thinking this one could. This is the British Virgin Isles one. So not surprised to see this one just go down after, basically just hanging out, going sideways, not really getting much higher than the 260s, 270s. Could, and now we're trying to go beneath the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. Might see a rebound here, not sure. I would just wait this one out.
All right, Dollar General continuing to trade higher here. I am going to look to close partial of that position if I can get it.
Let's see here. Yeah, DRMA, just kind of a boring one today. Boring in the sense that it's not doing a whole lot. I mean, it's pretty much in the same consolidation range that it was in pre-market. Not able to really get above VWAP and hold above it. Once you start seeing some 5-minute candles close above VWAP, should it capture that indicator? I think it could trade better, but
STFU saying, Ryan, say it with us. You'll own nothing and be happy. There's no way that I will say that. In fact, for you to get me to say that and mean it, you will have to pry what I own from my cold dead fingers. Good luck.
You guys are
I'm
nerding
joking
out.
around. I'm having a good morning. So just to be clear, I'm not actually threatening anybody.
No, they're nerding out. They're nerding out.
We're nerding out. Exactly. Okay. Things rolling here, though. Love that Dollar General is going higher. Tell you what, that 13. I mean, look, we were just talking about trying to have discussions and raise the tide for everybody and all of that. I would not be in this trade if it was not for you and the community talking about these, setting up ideas, talking about all of the different inputs to all of that. Just goes to show you how that can end up working here.
Excellent. I'm glad you're making money, man.
Jane saying, so the car tariffs are where they're based or where by company origin or where they're actually made? The answer is where they're actually made. So, for example, Volkswagen, a German company, as long as they make cars here, they can avoid those tariffs. Same goes for parts, by the way.
Yep. Hertz higher.
And that's something else really quickly. Companies that reproduce parts almost like a generic label as opposed to the factory made parts could be a huge business there, because obviously if you're able to produce those parts and they work just as well, you're able to produce them stateside, avoid all of the tariffs. You can undercut a lot. I'm sure shops will use those. People might be more interested in repairing their cars. So there's a couple more levers in there. We'll have to see how that straightens out. Jane saying BMW and VW both have cars produced in the U.S. That would be something.
Toyota does too, don't they?
Toyota definitely does. Izzy saying, Ryan, did you get a good deal on your smart car? LOL. That is a funny joke, because I am probably the last person that would buy a smart car. I'm not even sure I would fit in one. I'm 6.5 feet tall. I don't even know if I'd fit in one of those little things. Oh, good stuff, though.
DRMA trying to get back above VWAP again. This is another attempt that I need to see, it close above VWAP in order to get excited about. But it's attempting again. Some of these other names.
Stay focused. Asking a real good question here, and this actually plays in to one of the stocks that we talk about quite a bit here. Stay focused saying, Ryan, is Carvana a buy? Right now, I kind of want to say no, but
I'm with you on that.
But I want to leave a caveat here and say, let's see how it shakes out. My thought here is that the initial reaction will be less new car buying by volume and more car repairing. That would be how I see this right now. Check back in with me. I'll let you know if that changes. But my gut reaction right now is no, it isn't. And I'm happy to listen to the other side of that argument as well.
So since we lost the 50-day SMA on back toward the end of February, it's not been able to recapture that. So we just had another attempt to get above it too. So I would think that if we get some support from the 20 and 200-day SMAs, that takes it back up towards the 50. I'd be watching for a move over or a close over the 50-day SMA. That would encourage me to turn more bullish on this. But for now, it doesn't look great. So I would need to see some, I need to see some things happen. So if we lose the 200 again, I think we may end up going lower. If we recapture and hold above the 50, I think we'll end up trading back up towards 280.
SPY here, we talked about that market really kind of pulling here. SPY is bouncing now and trying to reclaim 567 as we speak.
Let's see.
NKTX, Nakatra. This one wasn't on my list for this morning, but wow, big volume flow out of the open. Stocks plus 33% here. Did we have any news on this? I don't see anything fresh. Oh, excuse me. Yes, I do. I thought today was Friday for a second there and I about freaked out. Price target lowered to 14 from 15 at Stifel. Wainwright reiterating buy. Stock reported earnings yesterday. They had some price target re-ratings here, plus 34%. NKTX. What does this company do again? Biopharmaceutical company engaged in developing engineered natural killer cells to treat cancer and autoimmune disease. God, that sounds cool.
Trained killers in your body.
I mean, if it's trained to kill cancer, yeah, sign me up. Cancer's a terrible disease. Took my father. Let's fight it.
So is this emboldening T cells, or I guess just kind of need to read into this, huh?
Yeah, we probably need to read into that. Izzy saying, funny story. I sold my BMW years ago and bought stock at 10 and sold too early. BMW stock, I think, is like 77. It's not listed here. It's listed in Germany, right? I think it's like 70 some bucks. Probably getting hit today. And then you guys were asking about the factory there in South Carolina for BMW. I'll be honest, I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. I have to look into that.
Yeah.
Webcoin mentioning that this NKTA here does have a high float. That number here, 53 million, a little bit higher than some of these other names we take a look at.
And the short interest on that is 17.6 with 9.6 days to cover. A little bit of squeeze happening there, I would say.
Sweet one saying, I like my BMW, but don't hold the stock. Yeah, same here, buddy. Same here. Hellcat, my dad passed from cancer. I'm sorry for your loss, man. I feel like everyone here in some way or another has been touched by just the terribleness of cancer. My heart goes out to all of you. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. So not to bring the mood down, but I totally understand. Something that you never stop thinking about.
TDTH has just been awful this morning. Look at how bearish these candles are. This thing is going down some more.
Oh my God. That is awful. That's like waterfalls right there. That's really terrible.
Yeah, don't go chasing those.
No. Izzy, I'm a cancer survivor. Points, baby. Let's go. Yeah. Mind move. Cancer does suck. Indeed. Jay mentioning Hood, dip buying Hood. So Lion, you dip buying too? Oh man, I'll tell you what, you already got a pretty good entry on that. And Izzy, is patience working here? Uber's coming back. See, this is another reason also why on some of these trades here, just really going to start with smaller positions. We were looking for Uber to trade higher than like 55, 56, or excuse me, 75, 76 yesterday. Entry there was 75.50. It was just such a little position. Figured you just kind of hold it here. This is not one of the junky smaller companies. This is an actual good company. You bring up a pretty good point here. Maybe people will use Uber more if they kick the can down the road from purchasing a car. Possible bullish setup there, but we're getting it back, Izzy. We're getting it back. We didn't panic. Drama here, right at its VWAP, right beneath it. It's holding up here. GTech looks weak. Really weak. NKTX up near the highs. We'll see if it snaps 190. Or some of the bigger stuff. How's Tesla doing after all those call buys? Okay, so Tesla did trade up here a little bit. Looks like, what are we getting? Mixed here, puts and calls. That's still mostly calls. Let's see what the stats are on Tesla.
You know that the price action this morning pretty much filled the gap from March 21st. You have the low of 564.94 today. The high that day was 564.89. So just within 5 cents it came. So I think we may have that gap being filled. That's why we're getting a turnaround in the SPY. Okay.
Interesting. So gap fill chart move there on the SPY. Good stuff. Couple of things here just to clean up. MLGO is fading. RL is asking, first of all, good morning, RL. Great to have you back here. 13, would you buy more Dollar General now? Oh, Gary, by the way, shout out to you, man. 20-year cancer survivors. Let's go. Let's go. Keep the good fight. Glad to hear that. Absolutely glad to hear that.
Well, I have to say no, because I recently just bought more. My first buy was I believe it was February 27th. And then I bought again, I think it was on March 11th or 12th, after we had that run, and then it pulled back. So I've already bought twice. We're making new, I think this is what, new 6-month highs. I don't know that I'd be buying up here in the 6-month highs, especially with the moves that we're making. For me, I'd be buying pullbacks more in Dollar General, not the rips. But like I said, I've already done the purchasing I want to do, at least for now. I may buy later on, but for now, I'm perfectly fine with my position.
Yeah. And I know you didn't ask me, but because I have a position and I've been talking about it recently, I might as well fill you in here. Dollar General here, part of the discussion that we had with the group is that it did look like Dollar General really kind of traded sideways. That was one of the reasons. Didn't really think it was going to go down anymore. You can see that there are a couple of levels here. Volume point of control about $82. I think that's when we started to initiate this position about. Bought the 90 calls. Those are here. Actually, let me pull that up here real quick. DG here. Those are the 90 calls in May. So I actually still have 50 days of time for this to work out here. My average on those calls was 130. They are currently a 215 ask. So I'm already on the offer to sell partial at 100% there at 260. I think what we're going to get here on Dollar General is going to be a test of this 200 day. Now, do we break above that? That's a really good question, because if we do, we have a potential gap fill up here to 124. So as far as the question goes of would you buy it now? Well, I wouldn't, because my trade plan was to get to and perhaps above this 200 day. But if we do get above this 200 day and we're able to hold it, next on the list here looks like a gap fill up to 120. So let's see if maybe we can reassess that. We'll also take a look at the broader market conditions when we get there. But for me, no, I'm with 13. I'm not buying here. What's up, 13?
You said me, and so is everybody else, because 23 and me
gotcha.
is ripped into a halt. This thing is really overbought at this point on the 5 minute, but could still go higher. It's volatile. But yeah, so that's with the what?
I see what you're laughing at now.
Yeah. So that's what I was just laughing at I was laughing at me.
Me, says Robert.
Mm-hmm.
Do re mi.
Yeah. But no, I mean, we've talked a bit about some stocks like Dollar General, about some good companies, real companies that are that have positive cash flow, they're making money, and they're just really beaten up right now. Those are the ones that we want to start to own as we see this rotation into more income names, more value names. So Dollar General, one of those such stocks that I want to be in. VZ is pumping, and Wiss is also mentioning Holland.
Also, Worksport getting absolutely destroyed post earnings here. Actually went into a halt. This has recently resumed, down 22.5%. WKSP.
TDTH might have found a bottom. Not trading it, but just mentioning it. Wolf getting support from VWAP. Might push higher. Same thing with Hertz. That's hasn't really even touched its VWAP in some time. Still trying to push higher. 432 is the high.
Jay, did you play Wolf on earnings? I know you were talking about that recently. Did you play this one? And by the way, how's Chewy doing post its earnings from yesterday? Yikes. So Chewy popped on earnings, gave everything back, and is now lower here. Really kind of obeyed that trend line too. My orders were not enough to save it, apparently.
Okay, maybe you're right, STFU. Zero is the bottom for TDTH. I'll agree with that.
Car here, still really impressed with Jay Rice. You really just kind of brought it here today. Car looks like this is bull flagging here, plus 73.
G-Tech moving away from the 200 EMA on the 5 minutes, so that was a good bounce spot. Don't know how much more further up we're going to go. All the support area that we've had, when we were trading up, are now going to be resistance areas. So 212 is going to be a resistance area. That's where we're getting rejected now. After that, we have resistance area like at 215 and 220. So lots of resistance on the way up for G-Tech. So not really sure we're going to see a whole lot of great price action out of that one.
Folks, more calls coming in here for Tesla. Again, these are the calls that expire this week, March 28th. This stock has been hot call buying since the open. We've done nothing but trade up since the open. We were actually red in the pre-market and went green in the pre-market, and now higher here. Tesla looking like 280 test coming here. Wolf didn't play. It's one of those multiple private equity deals. It's a possible turnaround story. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't playing that either, but I appreciate that. Pending home, thank you, producer. Pending home sales month over month in February, 2% versus the 9% estimate. The prior read was minus 4.6%. That actually seems like a good housing print. Pending home sales 2%. That's 1.1% over the estimate. And that is a huge move higher from the last month's read. That sounds good. Does that, let me ask you, does that say to anybody that the consumer is accepting just kind of a higher base interest rate?
Well,
I wish Hustle and Bustle were here. I hope he's okay. And go ahead, 13. I wasn't.
I'm just going to look and see what mortgage rates were since the beginning of the year. Because if they've been dropping, then I would imagine that you're going to start seeing more interest in home buying. Not as low as they were in September, but they have been coming down off the January highs.
That will cause Powell to not reduce interest rates. That is interesting, isn't it?
Get ready for a fight.
Or does that mean more houses are on the market due to unaffordability? I don't think that, wasn't there a supply shortage? I'm not even sure. I don't know. I don't know, Jonathan. I view that as a good print. I guess we'll see how it shakes out. More Tesla calls, by the way.
And these are all Tesla calls for that expire tomorrow, right?
Well, so I don't want to say all of them because there's been a ton, and I could have easily missed one that was a little bit more long dated. But a majority of these, I would even go so far as to say a vast majority of these that I continue to read to you are for this week. So it looks like they're playing the current move with these calls.
Okay.
MLGO getting mentioned here in the chat, and what a ripper. This coming up to the pre-market high from yesterday. We'll see if we can take that out or above all the levels that we charted here on MLGO. DraftKings, ticker DKNG. This also seeing some call buying. This has recently really pulled back. Tell you what, we talked about this with the tournament here. Some of these gambling stocks, not great around the big events that we would hope or expect them to be great. Kevin here mentioning me, that is continuing to move higher.
MLGO, the high went on Monday when we started getting this rip. We got as high as 1534. So we could see some resistance up there if we continue upward with MLGO. Actually, it's starting to pull now. It just lost 14. But that would be an area I'd be looking for, the Monday high as resistance. Wolf just made new highs. Some of these other ones just not doing pretty much most of the movers that we were looking at this morning, just not doing really much of anything or just going down. G-Tech coming back down to its 200 EMA. Drama still sideways. No, it's just a boring stock today. TDTH just knife fest. It started dual wielding
knife fest. Yes, let's go.
I mean, this thing is just handling more knives than Britney Spears at this point. SLNO, this is also kind of going sideways. It did pop as high as 71.24. Maybe to test that again. CISO, that just went south, getting support from the 65 EMA. And
real quick here, just sorry to jump in here. Big B's mentioning that there was a huge reversal here on Carvana. I didn't shout it out at the time. We are now 11 points plus off the lows. Also noticing that there are some Carvana calls getting bought here. Not humongous, but fairly aggressive. Those calls expire in April 11th. So nice reversal there in Carvana. I know we had asked about whether or not this would be a good buy or not. Stay focused. If you're still out there, I apologize. I had said no initially. Looks like I'm wrong, at least so far here. But boy, oh boy, great bounce here in Carvana. Great bounce here. I hope I didn't cause you to not make money on that. That would suck. That would suck.
C-Spot saying, yikes me. They finally pull. Looks like they might have.
Yeah, they pulled 131 down to 110. Remember, this is a company whose news is that it's filing for bankruptcy.
Uh-oh, upper shadows.
Keep that in that on the back burner there.
Is he trading Lunar today? Got a scalp? Let me take a look and see what that's doing. Okay. So you almost
13 BRB 1 sec.
You pretty much got the bottom there. 833. That's the low today, right? Yeah. So you bottom tick this, and now you're just letting it run back up. So where's your exit? It's going to be, or did you already exit? Like I'd imagine if you're scalping, it's just going to be, probably a 20 to 50 cent move, right? Me, Tarzan, you, Jane. There you go. C-Spot mentioning NKTX. Let's see what's going on with that one. All right, so this has been on the move from about 150 to 205 is the high. So nice 55-cent move there. Just have news this morning. Let's see. Strategic workforce reduction and clinical progress justify buy rating. So they are making some moves. They have price target lowered or maintained by multiple companies, reiterating buy rating. So 18 Wainwright and Company and Needham are reiterating their buy ratings. Price targets you're getting are going to be 14, 18, 11, and 14 on all the ones that were all the analysts that were throwing out price targets this morning.
Was that for Lunar?
No, it's for NKTX.
Okay. Okay, the Lunar price targets were from Tuesday.
And NKTX is hitting a new high, 211, 212. It's moving up now.
Nice volume pop here too, right?
Charles is mentioning JFIN.
That JFIN, is that?
You're right, Ed. The Lunar does go to the moon. It just needs to land upright.
JFIN is actually trading higher here, also sequentially gaining volume sticks here, sequentially bigger volume sticks here. JFIN. This is JN. What does this do? This is definitely a Chinese name, right? I guess I shouldn't. China's Technology Service Group. Enterprise engaged in technological innovation services, committed to using big data and cloud computing.
So sales are down. EPS is down. I guess they must have said something in there. They must have guided pretty well. I just don't have that guide here.
Michael saying, I did a nice spy put for a quick 2-pointer. Love the staying active. Give you a cash register ring for that. Love that you're staying active here, playing some of the different moves here. There's enough volatility already here today to make some money off that. So that's good stuff. Come on, Dollar General, give me my 50% fill there, or 100%. It's filling 50% of the position. Good Lord. Bitcoin, really quick look here. Bitcoin lower from this morning's highs of 87K, 86,200 on the futures. By the way, some of those cybersecurity stocks, which we talked about, those are actually lower here. That's good. PanW. Let me actually give you, let's take a look at PanW's chart and see if we can figure out a good entry spot here. Dollar General continuing to cook. I just love that. Okay, PanW here. What are we watching? You guessed it, the 200-day. We are currently beneath it. One of the things that we'd like to see is, do we get the same action that we saw the last two times? Last two times provided an upside bounce trade here. It is worth noting that this first bounce was pretty big. Let's measure it real quick. Peak to trough, this first bounce here, 22.8%. Not a bad trade at all, particularly if you had options. The second one here, much lower, 7%. So now that we're testing this 200-day again, see what happens here. What I'd love to see is a quick reclaim, maybe a reclaim Monday or Tuesday next week. See if that gives us a push up here. PanW down 3.36% here today, and it just gave up its 200.
Just looking around the horn here, seeing what's moving, what's not. Looks like FCX recaptured 40. Still has some work to do, but it looks like it's trying to get back up to where it was yesterday. MLGO, this is about to make a new intra-session high here, it looks like.
Yeah, it is. God, whoever said that this is the gift that keeps on giving, you're right. I would not have guessed. Would you have guessed this action post offering 13?
No, but I think it's going to halt at some point here soon. It should anyway. Let's see. This is the level we need to watch out for, because I had mentioned somewhere in the 15 handle that we needed to be careful about the price. That would be 1534. So almost there.
And MLGO. Izzy mentioning an Uber and Petco headline. I do see a big volume stick here on Uber. We continue to get our money back from the purchase yesterday, Izzy. Not bad. Almost even. Remember, 75.50 the entry there. Petcoin joins Uber Eats for nationwide on-demand delivery. So I can sit on my couch in my sweats with my feet up and order Buddy whatever he wants when he's a good boy. And they'll drop it off at my door. You know what this is really good for? Anyone that has trouble lifting those huge bags of dog food or those huge litter boxes or bags of litter, this could be really helpful. You don't have to do that. They'll bring it to your door.
Yeah, they STFU. Yeah, they do this every few months. I mean, like if I'm looking at a chart here, you can see they did it back in October and December and then February and now this month. But just before then, they seem to have gone through a bit of a rough time. It looks like they had a wild explosion, and then they did an offering and likely reverse split and diluted their share, or handled the dilution of their shares. So now it's come back into the range where it can start doing those intermittent pops you've identified. And we're still okay. Here we are. We're through that area from Monday on MLGO.
Carvana 210 coming here. What a reversal rip. Stay focused. I am so sorry. I hopefully you still continue to talk to me after that. I don't know how I'm going to get past this one. I really don't. I mean, I said, no, I don't think this is a good buy. And it literally turned around and has gone 12 plus points now from that.
MLGO was about to halt, and then it just said, nah, we're still going. 1969 is the high from earlier this week, Tuesday. So that'd be the next level I'd be looking at.
Izzy here mentioning that ONDS looks like it's trying to rip. Let me tell you, there's been some odd action here. We saw the move out of the open yesterday that completely got sold and went red. And then the buyers were like, no, what the hell are you doing? Did it again, went even higher. And today here, actually getting a little bit more. Like I said, long-term approach on this one. I expect more stuff in 2025 for it. Spent a lot of time adding here over the past couple of days with the disappointing price action, but we'll see how it goes. High risk, be careful. High risk, potential high reward, but be careful. TNON, this looking like this might try and break higher here. We want to watch this double top, about 327 here from the pre-market and from the regular session. CarMax, which we talked about earlier, that in fact, let me go ahead and link that story here for anyone that might want that. Where are you?
Real quick on micro algo. Just remember, guys, they said that they're going to issue additional shares at the offering price of 80 cents. So they did that once already this week. They said they're going to do it again. Don't get caught up here with these really high prices, knowing that they are going to still do that. You don't want to get caught in this. WIS, I never looked at Hollow. What is it doing today? It's up 9%. It almost hit $1. And it's is that short interest correct? Wow, 46.87% of the float shorted. It's almost half the float is shorted.
Real quickly here regarding CarMax, ticker KMX, which is ripping here along with Carvana. The article that I broke down with you folks here this morning for you early birds here, I just threw it in the chat again. Shout out to this writer here. Trump's tariffs on steel, aluminum, and auto imports hurt foreign part-dependent automakers, but benefit companies with strong domestic production and supply chains. Tesla, Toyota, BYD Limited, and GM are poised to gain, while automakers reliant on cross-border supply chains face higher costs. Used car dealers like AutoNation and CarMax may also benefit as new car prices rise. Well, boy, oh boy, that story was timely because here we go. KMX trading higher here out of the open.
So we have Carvana, KMX, Avis
Yep.
Budget.
Yep. Hertz.
Hertz, O'Reilly is doing well. That's up a little bit today, 3%.
That sure is. AZO would be your AutoZone.
Yep.
That's up 2.6%.
Yep.
Interesting. Sweet one. TrueCar, TRUE, down 8.6%. Did we have any other news here? JP Morgan downgrades TrueCar to underweight. Did they say anything here? I don't have the note. Yeah, JP Morgan downgrades TrueCar to underweight after auto tariffs. So I'd like to read some more about that. Don't have the note, though. I'll ask Zoltan. By the way, folks, if you don't know Zoltan from our Benzinga team here, what are you even doing? He's awesome.
Look at MLGO go. This is crazy.
Jay here adding, Ryan, could be why Hertz Car are moving. They sell their used fleet.
Yeah.
There you go. Uber, highs. Let's go, guys.
So how's that going to work after they sell their used fleet and they need to replenish that? Are they just going to exclusively?
They're going to buy American.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're going to exclusively buy American cars. What is going on with MLGO is that this thing is just, I think it's just squeezing like crazy.
18.68% of the float shorted, only 1 day to cover, but the action here, the expanding volume, this tells you all you need to know here. Huge move higher.
Just like I said earlier, be very, very careful with this. They've already announced they are going to do another 80-cent offering. Don't know when exactly that's going to be, but they could drop that on us up here.
Izzy saying, Ryan, you're even on Uber. Almost. Down by 15 cents, but really not that bad. And you know what? We're going to take this time to shout out something that Anne-Marie has been saying about being patient and how important that is. Otherwise, I'd be staring at an L from yesterday and no green arrows from Uber if I was not patient. I have no one to blame but myself. I thought the entry was poor. I should have waited, but we're patient. And now we're back. We are so back.
Yeah, Sideshow, that's kind of what I'm waiting for.
Hood calls getting bought here. These are the 46 calls. The little dip on Hood, that's already bought back up here today.
You know, sweet one. I don't want to say that's impossible, but that does seem pretty unlikely. I know that it's got some pricing that's higher up up there in the past, but that's because they've diluted and reverse split.
Sorry, looking around here at the Twitter streets to see if I see anything else that might be interesting.
Well, let's just look at some of these movers from this morning. Oh, DRMA finally made a decision on which direction it wanted to go, and that was down. TDTH, that still looks like it's going lower. SLNO, sideways. Oh, CISO, that one got hammered too, almost back to start. Wolf still printing higher, but it looks like it might be getting tired. Hertz just made new highs. Same thing with MLGO. We're in the 18. We were in the 18 handle now, just a second ago. Now it just fell back into the 17 handle. Might be topping out here with MLGO, folks. Yeah.
Uber 75 calls hitting the tape, is he? Nike calls hitting the tape. Now that's something. Nike has been really tough recently, actually getting a nice pop here today. I still think 60 to 63 is the support level to keep in mind here, but we'll see if we can get back above 70, 71. That was a prior support level that we traded this against.
Well, what do we do now?
Alexander talking about Broadcom here. Let's take a look at the chart. Broadcom, Alexander here saying just down day after day. Any comments? We talked a little bit about Broadcom earlier. We talked about the big move here is that it actually lost the trend line and the 200-day in the same candle. These lines are basically overlapped here. What were some of the spots that we had that we had talked about the next move here? The consolidation area, bottom end of this consolidation area, maybe 160. It's another 13 points lower here. Volume point of control going back to last fall, 166.
Yeah, I think it's getting overdone, but it did break a trend, the uptrend that it's been in since October of 22. I think we were kind of looking for the possible. We were kind of examining the possibility of 140 being the support area based on the price action over the past couple of years and the 500-day SMA. I think that's what we were looking at.
Alexander, just kind of looking and eyeballing this chart here. I actually think we've got some more room down here. This is another one of those companies that a downturn would set up a pretty decent entry. I feel like I don't think Broadcom, I think it's a great company. I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it's going to continue to be important. So letting this reprice lower here, I think, and it is going to inevitably turn into an opportunity.
Britt, I was mentioning that MLGO was looking like it was topping because it started to because of the price action it was giving us. This thing could still rip higher, but as STFU was also mentioning, because we were talking about this, it went from over 16 to under 12 in just 8 minutes. So yeah, be careful. And that was because they had an offering, and they already are planning to do another offering. So when stocks run like this, when they probably shouldn't, and we know that there's an offering coming, you might want to set your stops a little higher or trade with smaller sizes just to protect yourself, because it's getting a little too extended. Now we're starting to get our first red candle here in over 15 minutes. So we could pull here.
Also, you have a 1950-ish intraday high from the day before yesterday that this thing is kind of running up to. Yeah. Real quick here, Anil, you've asked this a few times here. I'm sorry I did. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry I did not get to it earlier. You're asking about the TLT here. We actually talked about a potential TLT trade on Tuesday night with Anne-Marie and Tim when we were discussing the bond market. You're basically asking if 89 calls are good here. Well, so let's think this through, because I can't tell you which direction this is going to move. I can't predict the future. I try to use the 8-ball, and even that gets it wrong sometimes. Here's the thing about TLT. I would wonder what the thesis is here, because I actually think that the smarter trade on this is to probably own the stock for the move higher if you think you're getting that. And then in the meantime, sell calls against your stock to lower your cost basis. Because if you take a look at TLT here, I mean, first of all, this is not like a huge mover. Like this, sometimes big move, like for example, this 87 to 101 move, that'd be a pretty sweet move to capture. That took half of a year. That was April to the end of September. It took to make that move. So you're asking about buying a upside instrument that decays a little bit every day. Unless you feel really confident that TLT is going to move higher from right where we're at, I'm not sure that that's actually the best play. I think you might be better off taking a longer term approach by owning the stock. And then if you really want to be active, or owning the ETF, if you really want to be active, sell covered calls against that. If the stock moves up to your, let's say 92, right? Because that's pretty much right where this, or 93, the 92 or the 93 call, it's right above this 200-day. If it moves up there, your stock's going to get called away at a gain. And if it doesn't move up there, then you're never going to have to rebuy the call, and you just collect the premium, lower your cost basis.
Being asked for entry areas, by the way, that was great, for entry areas on Google. And that, I don't know what your time horizon is, but I'll just tell you the areas that I'm personally looking for, because I already own Google and I want to add more to it, but not exactly where we're at. My earliest areas of entry are going to be 150 to 155. But the way the price action has been so far this year, starting to think that we may even see some lower prints in Google, especially with this a potential death cross coming here, probably sometime in April if we continue to trade beneath the 200-day SMA. So for now, I like 150 and 155, but I think that if we do get that death cross, we could end up going lower, probably down to the 140 area.
You know, this is one thing that we're going to take some time to shout this out here, 13, because I think one of the things that I've noticed about you that is so spot on that I personally have found value from, you have an uncanny ability to consistently identify when some of these things are imminent or going to happen soon. For whatever reason, maybe it's the colors I use, maybe it's, my personality, my lack of patience, whatever it is. Until these moving averages get like right next to each other, I often don't forecast that. And you have been spot on a number of different stocks about being like, hey, we have an incoming death cross here, only for a couple of weeks later to be like, hey, we death crossed here. It really, really good stuff. And I've actually taken away from that or taken some good stuff away from that. So kudos to you. Keep it up.
No problem. Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, you're going to get these moving average crossings all the time when the price is going to stay underneath certain ones. So like I was just mentioning how for Google, the price has been underneath the 200-day SMA for a while and the 50 is above the 200. So naturally, you're going to get that shorter moving average to cross down to the longer one as long as it continues to remain down there. So it's not so much of a forecast as much as it is as long as this does this, then this will happen. Mm-hmm. It's like a series of events.
Yeah, but it's good. It helps. I should have said this. It helps me forecast or plan a potential entry. By the way, market continuing to bounce here. So we had initially talked about how the market was bouncing. We highlighted several issues here. SPY went down. You were talking about this, filling a gap and then reversing?
Yeah, that's what we ended up getting. We did kind of fill that gap that we created between the weekend and Monday when Trump announced that the tariffs were more targeted. So we're getting a request for JYT.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Let's look at it and see what this is about.
Here you go. So here's your JYD stock. This stock is literally pinned right here.
It's been on a bit of a rally since December.
Stock has traded under 1 million shares, and we're an hour into the market.
This is what, an Indonesian logistics service? I guess. Well, let's just look at a smaller time frame. I mean, it just looks like this is really extended here. I wouldn't be surprised if this came back in. You look at the daily chart, you see the RSI is at 85, over 85. It's gone on a huge rally. My expectation, I don't know anything about this, but just looking at the technicals, my expectation is that this would come back in and cool off.
Yeah, this to me, I would completely stay away. Don't know anything about this chart. Does look extended indeed. I would stay away from this.
Getting a little
not saying you should. I'm saying I personally will stay away from this.
Getting a little bit more weakness in MLGO. If we don't knife in MLGO, then we get support from the VWAP with another candle, red candle after this. We might reverse, we might bounce. We'll just have to wait and see if that happens. But I want to see 3 red candles and VWAP hold up before I want to start saying, hey, there might be some more upside ahead. This one thing I got to keep reiterating is just be careful with this one. It is going to do another offering. Looks like Wolf may come back in. MACD is indicating that this rollover is imminent. TDTH continues to go lower. It's just ugly price action today. 2 green candles today so far for TDTH on the 5-minute chart. Yeah, I know, John. It is going lower for sure. Looks like GTAC still trying to turn around here. It may end up coming back up to VWAP, but I don't know if it's going to go a whole lot higher than that. Like I said earlier in the morning, there's a lot of consolidation, a lot of price action that has to chew its way through to get back up over and hold VWAP. So unless we get a good amount of volume, which I don't expect we will, this thing is probably going to either continue to go sideways or lower. Speaking of volume, it's 1033, so that volume should really be starting to evaporate.
Okay. Also, Dollar General, ticker DG, filled 50% of the positions sold at 100% gain, which means the remaining is free, and we are on the gravy train, folks. Still looking for this to get above 90. We'll start to close some of that out. Dollar General been a great move. Look at this. Look at this. Let's go. Booked partial at 100%. Giddy up. Also, you were talking about time here and what time it is in the market and all of that. So I guess we might as well discuss what's coming up after this. Should we not?
Oh, we should.
We still have time. We still have time. So don't get all excited. We still have time, but we do have an all access coming up with Dan. I can't wait to check in with Dan. He has a boatload of energy, and the NCAA basketball is back today. So I expect him to have energy levels that go to 12, forget 11. And then also after the all access, we have Kristen Boyd, Senior Vice President, Global Head of Derivative Sales and Distribution of the CBOE Global Markets, going to join us for an insightful session to break down CBOE's top trading tools, including the VIX suite. So for you VIX traders out there, you might want to catch that one. She'll share insights on using volatility products to navigate market swings and discuss the importance of diversity in finance. Don't miss that webinar. Again, that's coming up right after the all access, which comes after us here on Live Trading.
Jay
we got the contents for you. Yeah.
Jay Rice has a great comment. Go ahead and read it.
I can't wait for Mullen to file Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Stop you cretins from mentioning it. Jay, tell us how you really feel.
He's like this every time we start talking about it.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. SCFU. It's all those things, all those things in alignment. This is the last red candle that we're going to want to see in MLGO before we go. Okay, well, I guess this is where it's not going to wait for us. This is going to try and go here, but just be careful with MLGO. Keep saying it.
Izzy, stop me if you've heard this before. Banking off some Amazon calls. I did not follow you into that Amazon trade, but good stuff there. Good stuff there. Glenn talking about Tesla here. Tesla at the highs. I'll tell you what, those and look at this. There's more 280s that I wonder if they're closing their position, because this was the same contract, the 280s that expire tomorrow here. When we were talking about this, when Tesla was 9 points lower than it was, 9 points lower than it was. Those calls pop and still getting traded here. More. MOAR.
More?
I mean, Tesla's there is a ton of aggressive option action on Tesla.
Well, it looks like MLGO might start to get going here again. Jonathan, people are mentioning ASST that knifed. Robert taking Gura calls. Robert also mentioning Geo and Baidu. I think Jay Rice was also mentioning Geo earlier.
GEO?
Yeah, we started talking about that yesterday again, because it was turning up and had recaptured its 50-day SMA. It might not be done. Initially it was like that. It was the Trump trade, and then it broke out and then sold off. But now I guess the more practical trade is on. Like, do you see jails and prisons filling up?
Yeah.
That's why we're going higher.
Izzy mentioning that Uber has 90 calls. Now, I am seeing that Uber's actually trading off some of those highs. I didn't catch that on the scanner. I'm not doubting you. I'm not doubting you at all, but I did not catch that on the scanner here. You had said 90 calls for June. So let me read the stats on those. Yeah, definitely. So a couple of things there. So number one, those 90 calls, 2,106 have traded here today. There's an open interest of 39,300 in that June 90 strike and expiry. So what we'd want to do here, Izzy, I know this is moving up here today. What we want to do is we want to see how that open interest changes tomorrow, right? We want to know if that's this is what we did with FCX on those big May 50s. We want to see if this gets added to the open interest or if this is traders closing their position because those calls on their own up 17.5% here today.
I'm just looking at the 20 EMA that STFU was mentioning, just to take a look at it and see how it interacts with the price here. I see what you're talking about with the movement here. Most of the time, yeah, it does use that EMA pretty well. I'm wondering if there's something else that may also use that. Thank you for that. I'm gonna check this out some more.
Andrew Senior TV, great show by the Benzinga Group. That's what we try to do here. Hopefully, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. We'll keep doing that here. Jesus Savior, diversity in finance. I'm not sure that this is referencing the DEI angle. I don't think that that's the case. Check it out nonetheless, though. I don't know. I would say keep an open mind, and let's listen to what Kristen has to say about that. CMG. Yeah, that's ripping higher here. Yep. I talked about wanting to trade this one too. I'm very familiar with the Chipotle product, by the way. No position for me on Chipotle. Bummer.
Thinking we'll see resistance in this one somewhere between here and 52. Probably more like 51.50.
Oh, God, we're almost right there then.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. We talk a lot about breaking trends lately and using trend lines. So if you drew a trend line from the low of January 2023 up through the low of October of 2023 and just kept that trend line going, you'll see that we used that trend line at the end of February for support and lost it. And now we're coming back up to test it as resistance. I think we may get a rejection.
There you go. Great call on that trend line. And yes, we have been looking at a lot of this.
So I would, if you're bullish, you'd want to see this trend line to get recaptured. If you're bearish, you want to see this trend line get tested and rejected, the price rejected.
Robert, I like Reddit here, he says. RTDT, Robert, I also like Reddit here. Bought some 2-year 220 calls near the 52-week low.
To his
Robert
point,
played Reddit for a bounce.
To his point, it's had three different weeks where it's come down and used the 200-day SMA as support. Today being the third time it's done that. So if we start to move off of the 200-day SMA, I think Robert is probably right that this is starting to turn around here. We should have seen a breakdown by now if beneath the 200 if it was going to go lower. And it's interesting too because if we did break down, we'd gap fill, and I'm talking really gap fill, like a $20 gap fill. So I can understand why Reddit bulls would not want the price to break down beyond 104.11. I'm sorry, yeah, 104.11.
Yeah, that's pretty clear. Pretty clear. By the way, Dollar Tree. DLTR. I know we talked about Dollar General DLTR continuing to go.
STFU, watch for your EMAs. Doesn't matter which ones you use, but watch for what the price does when they cross VWAP.
EB saying DATS is looking good. What about it looks good? Volume's low. We moved lower. We've pretty consistently stayed under the VWAP. Not saying you're wrong. Just wondering what you're seeing here. What looks good about this?
Well, it looks like it's trying to recover. I mean, this right here, it's got to get back above VWAP. This is probably where he's referring to it looking good. If it gets above VWAP and holds above there, then I would agree with that. You are going to run into some resistance around the 365 to 370 area though. Absolutely, Robert.
My gosh, Tesla calls continue. And so does the move higher here on Tesla. Somebody better do a wellness check on Mr. Walls.
So we're gonna get that 300 print, and then here's the thing.
So that's a good question. Where do we reverse on this move higher? That is an excellent question.
Well, because we're moving over the 200-day SMA. That was 286.27. We're at 287.34 right now. So I'm wondering, with those short dated options, is it because they expect this one more day of this bounce to continue up to 300 and then they're done? Just kind of wondering, thinking out loud.
I'll be honest with you. You know what looks even more? The round number is one thing, and you're not wrong about that by any stretch of the imagination. But I'll tell you what, this trend line here looks pretty enticing. I would probably put that between 309, 312.
And MLGO with 19 print
again.
Mm-hmm. It was the 3 red candles. That's what I wanted to see, and now we go.
Offering coming at 80 cents, folks.
Probably.
Lulu, by the way. Okay, so Lulu here. Lulu ripping 2.75%. Lulu ripping to the upside here. They report earnings here later today. Well, it'll be interesting to see what they say here on Lulu. You know what we should do when we toss it to All Access? I'll ask Dan. He was a model for Lululemon, so we'll ask him, see if he has any insight on that.
Like, for real he was?
No.
Great joke. Super dry, just the way I like it.
That's just like my martinis, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. For Lulu, it has earnings, and we've been doing nothing but run up into it since the middle of March.
The old run up into earnings trick that we see on some of these.
Earnings. Yeah, that's what I'm a little concerned about. I could be completely wrong about that too, but how many times have we seen a stock just run up into earnings and then we get the earnings and then it sells off?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, and you know what's crazy? Well, we actually already filled that gap on the other side. I almost wonder here, that's a lot of room. It's already made a pretty decent move. This 100-day, this definitely looks like a possible. And it's a silver cross when the 50 moves through the 100 to the upside?
When the 20 moves through the 50.
The 20 moves through the 50. Okay, so is there anything when the 50 moves through the 100 to the downside?
We have no special name, so we can field that here if you like.
Okay. I'll have to come up with something.
Ryan's Crossing if you want.
We don't know. That we don't need for sure. MLGO halted here, 19.29. Yeah. What a rip to the upside, plus 62% on that MLGO move. Uber continuing to be higher. We're flat, Izzy. Let's go.
I don't know how bold all y'all want to be, but when MLG unhalts, I feel like any upside that we get is probably going to be among the last that we would get for a little while. I would have to think going into or approaching the lunch hour like we are. And with the other news that's we know about MLGO, that there's going to be some profit taking here, possibly out of this halt, maybe shortly after. Just kind of want to throw that out there. I could be wrong about that, but MLGO has gone on a huge run today, and we just need to be careful. Just make sure you have your stops set. Hertz new highs, by the way. And Wolf.
NKTX, this had a nice little impulse move, stopped about 215, coming back here to the 15 EMA on the 5-minute. We actually blew right through the VWAP like a hot knife through butter. No support there from that. Did stop down here at the 15 EMA. Remember, folks, just 2 minutes here. We're going to go over to the All Access. And after that, CBOE webinar with Kristen Boyd, the Senior Vice President and Global Head of Derivatives and Sales and Distribution. So we got plenty of good content coming up for you. Don't go anywhere. SPY, by the way, continuing to push higher here. Our Tariffic Thursday is shaping up to be fairly terrific. SPY, this little move down that we had, immediate dip buy here, huge move. And actually another huge move for maybe some of you option players, Netflix having a good day as well.
And STFU, he keeps mentioning this. We haven't really acknowledged it, so we really should. MLGO is going up like it is because another company, WIMI, with the hologram cloud, they increased their stake, and they also committed to a 10-year lockup period for all the shares that they currently own. So having that knowledge, you know that they aren't going to be selling. This kind of looks like a slow moving takeover. I mean, they own 2/3 of the shares now, 2/3 of the company, and they're not selling. And they have, I mean, according to Wimmy's balance sheet, they have a lot of cash. Don't know how accurate it is because I don't have a read on their income, but it's, according to them, it says that they have half a billion in cash.
By the way, real quickly, puts getting bought into the Palantir move higher here. Tesla calls still getting bought. Okay. We're close to the end here. I'm actually going to move over to Dan for a couple of things. We want to make sure that we've got enough time. The all access is going to be great. Want to make sure that we have enough time for that. And we do really have a hard stop here with the CBOE webinar on the back end of this. 13, any closing words for the group here today?
Hey, great job, everybody today on
really was.
LGO and all these other stocks. You know, all the movers we had, not great, but we found other ones that were great. So well done on getting that, killing these vehicle trades. Just great job all around, folks. Let's come back here with the same energy tomorrow. We'll do it again. Enjoy the next show. You're going to have fun. I'll see you later. Take care, everybody.
Perfect, 13. Well done. We will be back for a fun Friday. 13's departure, of course, leaves room for Dan. Let's get him on here. Dan, welcome back. Look, it's Thursday. We made it. The tournament's back today. How are you?
Well, a couple things. First off, I almost was a Lululemon model. I was a Skims model, though. That's where I made my money.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. A producer said it was Abercrombie and Fitch, and I thought I just butchered it.
Living back in the day, guys in Dallas local here in Detroit. I walked the runway many times. I'm a great looking guy. But it's the tournament, but also it's opening day. It snuck up on us. Ryan, are you a South Sider or a North Sider?
Dan, it's the second opening day because I'm a North Sider, and the Cubs had opening day in Japan last week against the Dodgers.
I had some sushi and watched that game at 6 a.m. and actually had a bet on Ohtani for a home run, so it all worked out.
You cashed. Dan, what do we got coming up on All Access, buddy?
First off, great to see you. I love you, my man. Very excited guest, Bill Carrigal, the CFO of Minez Biomed. Looking forward to talking with him.
Okay, take it away, Dan. All Access starts right.
The dream is alive. It sure is. Thanks, Ryan. Hey, Zingers, and welcome to All Access. I've really got a fantastic guest for you today. It is Bill Carrigal, the CFO of Minez Biomed. The NASDAQ ticker is MYNZ. He's joining us for an exclusive talk today. All Access starts right now. And it is my pleasure to welcome in the CFO of Minez Biomed, Bill Carrigal. Wonderful to be with you today, Bill.
Great to be with you. Thanks, Dan.
Well, let's get right into it. Can you give us an overview of Minez Biomed?
So Minez Biomed is focused on early detection of cancer. Our original product is launched and approved in Europe for early detection of colorectal cancer. Through the development and acquisition of several technologies, we've put together what we think is a compelling offer for a next generation product that shows in preliminary studies to have significantly improved over industry standards, significantly improved performance in the detection of advanced adenoma. And Dan, why that's important is advanced adenoma are the polyps that come before cancer. So what we're trying to do is to move from detection to prevention by finding these growths, these precancerous lesions, before they develop into cancer.
No, it's such an important thing. And Bill, let's kind of dive a little deeper into why early detection is so important right now.
Well, if you look at our primary focus, which is in colorectal cancer, in broad terms, if you detect colorectal cancer in stage 1 or before, there's up to a 90% probability or chance of long-term survival, which emphasizes why early detection is so important. Late stage detection obviously has much worse outcomes. So again, moving the spectrum, not just to early detection stage 1, but being able to move to pre-cancerous lesions and detect before they develop into cancer can drastically increase prevention, detection, and survival.
And let's talk about how Minds Biomed's focus on detecting those advanced precancerous lesions potentially could transform colorectal cancer treatment from a screening-based approach to a prevention-based approach, which obviously we know is very important.
Well, exactly. In 2023 and 2024, we ran 3 feasibility studies and just announced today that we've enrolled patient number 1 in our 2,000 patient average risk study to validate those results. But what those results showed is that for detection of advanced adenoma across 3 different populations, we were able to detect at north of 80%. Why is that important? Well, if you look at the other stool-based tests, the one that people in the United States know best, Cologuard, the detection capability of their next generation product and other similar competitors is in the 40% range, in the 40s, where our results are showing in the 80s. And then importantly, if you look at the blood-based tests, which have gotten a lot of attention over the course of the past couple years, they detect at less than 20% for advanced adenoma. So again, when you take the step before stage 1, before it turns into a cancer, we're aiming to be able to get to double the performance from 40s to 80s of the existing state-of-the-art test.
No, it's incredible. And listen, we are living in pretty amazing times. And I wonder what advantages can the combination of mRNA biomarkers as well as AI algorithms and that traditional FIT testing offer over the current colorectal cancer screening methods right now.
Well, it's kind of Dan. It's kind of a build. Fit test is a standard of care in Europe and is also used. It's part of, say, the Cologuard test. It tests for hemoglobin or blood traces of blood in a sample. That's important. That's a good test. But to build on top of that, you add genetic markers. We are one of only 2 right now that are using mRNA biomarkers, and then we build on top of that and use a machine learning developed algorithm to increase the performance of the underlying genetic plus fit test. And it's the combination of those 3 and the underlying intellectual property we have underneath that's able to provide these differentiated results.
And let's talk about, if successful, what would be the timeline for this new test to become commercially available following the planned completion of that early Detect 2 study in Q4 of 2025 and the subsequent Recon AA Sense pivotal study as well.
Yep. So our timeline is to complete and to read out the early Detect 2 study that we announced first patient in today and report by the top line by the end of this year, which will allow us to move quickly into our reconnaissance, our full PMA FDA study, which we would then do the heavy lift on enrollment during 2026, which would put us in a position to get approval and commercial launch by the end of 2027. So it's a 2-year time horizon with some important milestones along the way.
Absolutely. And as I mentioned, we're living in pretty incredible times. Bill, you look at AI, how is AI changing the medical industry?
Well, you know what? Just to diverge for a minute from the colorectal cancer screening to something that we announced just a little while ago, is that we've been working in early stage for the past couple of years, developing a test for pancreatic cancer. We partnered with a group called Liquid Biosciences out in California that has a proprietary platform, an AI platform that when we engaged with them, they were looking to work. They were working with us on our existing product, which was a stool-based product to complement our colorectal cancer screening product. We saw good results, but they did some preliminary work on some massive databases and were able to identify a new portfolio of blood-based biomarkers, mRNA-based, that we never would have been able to find by typical experiment and trial and error, or said differently, it would have taken thousands of years. But the ability of what AI can do in the medical field of being able to address these massive databases and to be able to run all of those permutations to find and optimize, in our case, not a therapeutic, but a diagnostic, what the best combination is to achieve a desired result. And then we move into the science phase of then testing, validating, and then developing the assays.
Fascinating stuff. And like I said, a fascinating time to be alive. It was an absolute pleasure talking with you today, Bill. Thank you so much for your time.
Dan, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure and honor all mine. That was the CFO of Minds Biomed, Bill Carrigal. The NASDAQ ticker is MYNZ. Thank you all so much for watching All Access. Until next time, keep your feet on the ground, keep reaching for the stars, and believe in the dream. We'll see you then.